Welcome to Easy Drift Sleep. Tonight we are taking you to your ancient Machu Picchu journey. If these stories help you sleep, tap subscribe so you never miss your next escape. Find a comfortable position, let the weight of your day go, and allow this story to carry you somewhere beautiful. The thin air of the Andean highlands, sharp and clean, carried the faint, earthy scent of damp soil and the distant, sweet perfume of mountain flowers, a fragrance that spoke of ancient growth and timeless stone. Mist, like a living veil, clung to the jagged peaks, sometimes swirling low into the valleys, sometimes parting to reveal glimpses of emerald slopes and the dizzying drop of sheer rock faces. High above, a solitary condor, a dark, majestic silhouette against the vast canvas of the sky, circled with slow, deliberate grace, its lonely cry echoing across the immense, silent expanse of the mountains, a sound as old as the world itself. It was in this breathtaking, formidable landscape, where the clouds often kissed the very earth, that the great Sapa Inca Pachacuti stood upon a windswept promontory, his gaze sweeping across the undulating ridges and deep river gorges that stretched before him. The sun, a brilliant orb, had just begun its ascent, painting the eastern sky in hues of fiery orange and soft rose, casting long, dramatic shadows that danced and shifted with the rising light. A cool breeze, carrying the faint tang of frost from the highest summits, tugged at the rich, finely woven alpaca cloak draped over his shoulders, its intricate pattern speaking of his divine lineage and immense power. His eyes, dark and piercing, held the weight of an empire, yet at this moment, they were alight with a vision, a profound and deeply personal revelation that had stirred within him for many nights. Pachacuti, whose name meant he who shakes the earth, had indeed transformed the Inca realm from a regional kingdom into a sprawling empire, a feat of military prowess, strategic brilliance, and unwavering spiritual conviction. His mind, accustomed to the complexities of governance and the demands of conquest, often sought moments of quiet communion with the Apus, the mountain spirits, believing that true leadership stemmed from a deep understanding of the natural world and the divine forces that shaped it. He had journeyed to this remote, almost inaccessible spot, not for battle or negotiation, but in search of a sign, a confirmation of a dream that had haunted his sleep and filled his waking hours with an insistent, almost palpable energy. For weeks, images had flickered behind his eyelids, towering granite, shaped not by nature alone, but by the meticulous hand of man, terraces carved into impossible slopes, holding the promise of abundant harvests, and structures rising with elegant precision, their stones fitted so perfectly that no blade could pass between them. He saw water, pure and life-giving, channeled from distant springs, flowing through these constructed wonders, bringing vitality to a place that seemed to defy human habitation. More than just buildings, he perceived a sanctuary, a place of profound spiritual significance, a bridge between the earthly realm and the celestial heavens, where the sun, the moon, and the stars could be observed and honored with unparalleled clarity. He closed his eyes for a moment, allowing the crisp air to fill his lungs, drawing strength from the ancient earth beneath his feet. When he opened them again, his gaze settled upon a particular ridge, a saddle of land nestled between two prominent peaks, where the Urubamba River, a silver ribbon, snaked its way through the valley far below, its distant roar a constant, murmuring presence. It was there, in that improbable, mist-shrouded location, that his vision coalesced into an undeniable command. The Apus had spoken, not in thunderous pronouncements, but in the quiet certainty that now settled deep within his soul. This place, this sacred confluence of earth and sky, was destined to become a testament to the Inca spirit, a retreat for royalty, a center for astronomical observation, and a sanctuary for the wisest of the Kuna, the chosen women, who would dedicate their lives to the sun god, Inti. His mind, ever the architect of empire, immediately began to sketch the monumental undertaking. He envisioned a complex network of roads, traversing treacherous mountain passes, to transport not only the finest stone but also the thousands of skilled laborers who would transform this wilderness. He saw the engineers, with their profound understanding of hydraulics and masonry, directing the flow of water, shaping the very mountainside. He imagined the astronomers, their eyes fixed on the celestial dance, aligning temples and plazas with the solstices and equinoxes, weaving the cosmos into the very fabric of the stone. This would be a project of unprecedented scale, a challenge that would test the very limits of Inca ingenuity and resilience, but Pachacuti felt no doubt, only a surging tide of purpose. He turned, his expression resolute, to the small retinue of trusted advisors and high priests who had accompanied him on this arduous journey. Their faces, weathered by the sun and wind, reflected a mixture of awe and anticipation, for they knew the Sapa Inca's contemplative silences often preceded his most ambitious decrees. Here, Pachacuti declared, his voice carrying with surprising force across the vast silence, "Here we shall build." His arm swept in a grand arc, encompassing the entire ridge, from the lowest terraces that would cling to the precipice to the highest temples that would touch the clouds. A city in the sky, a sacred retreat, a place where the sun will be honored and the wisdom of our ancestors preserved. It will be a testament to Inti, to the Apus, and to the enduring spirit of the Inca people. A murmur of reverence passed through the group. They understood the magnitude of his words, the sheer audacity of the undertaking. To carve a city from such a remote, untamed landscape, to transport and shape stones weighing many tons without the use of wheels or iron tools, to sustain thousands of workers in such an isolated location, it was a task that would demand generations of effort, a testament to faith as much as to engineering. Yet, in Pachacuti's gaze, they saw not just ambition, but a profound spiritual conviction, a vision so powerful that it seemed to bend the very mountains to its will. One of the elder priests, his face a roadmap of ancient wisdom, stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with understanding. "May Inti guide our hands, and the Apus bless our endeavors, Sapa Inca," he intoned, his voice a low, resonant chant. "This place, Machu Picchu, the old peak, will become a new heart for our empire, a secret sanctuary guarding our most sacred knowledge." The name, whispered for the first time, seemed to hang in the crisp air, a prophecy taking root in the very stone. Pachacuti nodded, a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. He knew that such a place, hidden high in the clouds, would not only serve as a royal estate for himself and his descendants but also as a vital strategic outpost, a stronghold against potential invaders, though its primary purpose was spiritual and ceremonial. It would be a place of learning, of contemplation, a living library of Inca cosmology and agricultural innovation, where the delicate balance between humanity and nature would be meticulously maintained. The terraces, he decreed, would not merely be for sustenance but would also serve as a living laboratory, experimenting with different crops and microclimates, pushing the boundaries of agricultural science. The water channels, meticulously engineered, would not only provide for the inhabitants but would also symbolize the lifeblood of the empire, flowing from the sacred mountains to nourish the people. As the sun climbed higher, bathing the peaks in a golden glow, Pachacuti remained on the promontory, his mind already racing with the logistics, the challenges, and the ultimate glory of his vision. He imagined the rhythmic clang of stone on stone, the shouts of the mita laboris, the careful calculations of the architects, the silent prayers of the priests. He saw the city rising, stone by magnificent stone, blending seamlessly with the natural contours of the mountain, a harmonious marriage of human ingenuity and divine landscape. This was not merely construction, it was an act of creation, a profound expression of the Incas' spiritual connection to the earth, the sky, and the cosmos. He knew that generations would labor on this project, that many would dedicate their lives to its completion, and that perhaps he himself would not live to see its full realization. Yet, the legacy he envisioned was not for his immediate gratification, but for the enduring spirit of his people, a testament to their power, their wisdom, and their unwavering faith in the divine order. Machu Picchu would stand as a silent sentinel, a guardian of Inca knowledge and spirit, long after his reign had passed into legend. It would be a place where the whispers of the Andean dawn would forever carry the echoes of his monumental vision, a promise etched in stone, awaiting the passage of time and the eventual rediscovery by a world that had forgotten its existence. The air, still cool but now infused with the promise of the day, seemed to hum with the energy of this nascent dream, a dream that would soon begin its slow, majestic ascent from the earth to the sky. The air, still cool but now infused with the promise of the day, seemed to hum with the energy of this nascent dream, a dream that would soon begin its slow, majestic ascent from the earth to the sky. Weeks later, a great movement began, a slow, deliberate tide of humanity flowing from the heart of the empire towards the remote, mist-shrouded peaks. It was the great migration of builders and artisans, a testament to the Incas' unparalleled organizational power and the unwavering will of the Sapa Inca. From the sun-drenched valleys of Cusco, along ancient pathways carved into the mountainsides, thousands of skilled workers began their arduous journey. Masons, their hands calloused from generations of shaping stone, walked alongside farmers, their faces weathered by sun and wind, carrying seeds and tools. Priests, adorned in their ceremonial finest, their eyes fixed on the distant horizon, accompanied them, their presence a constant reminder of the sacred purpose of their endeavor. The air, thin and crisp, carried the scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, a fragrance that mingled with the dust raised by countless sandals. Each step was a commitment, a silent vow to transform a vision into a tangible reality. They moved not as individuals, but as a collective spirit, their determination a palpable force against the vast indifference of the mountains. Children, too young to fully grasp the monumental task ahead, clung to their mothers' hands, their innocent eyes wide with wonder at the endless procession of people and llamas laden with supplies. The sound of their journey was a rhythmic symphony, the soft thud of feet on packed earth, the occasional bleat of a llama, the low murmur of voices sharing stories and encouragement, all underscored by the distant, lonely cry of a condor circling high above, a majestic sound echoing across the valleys, a silent blessing upon their pilgrimage. As they neared the chosen site, the landscape transformed, the familiar terraced hillsides giving way to a wilder, more untamed beauty. Cloud forests, dense and verdant, clung to the slopes, their branches dripping with moisture, shrouded in the ethereal mist that often drifted through the peaks. The air grew cooler, heavier with the scent of moss and damp leaves, and the sunlight, when it broke through the canopy, dappled the forest floor in shifting patterns of gold and emerald. The sheer scale of the undertaking became evident as they arrived at the mountain saddle, a breathtaking expanse perched between towering peaks. Here, amidst the swirling mists that sometimes completely enveloped the site, the initial camps were established. Temporary shelters of wood and woven reeds sprang up, a nascent village humming with purpose. The first task was not construction, but communion. Priests, led by the venerable Mama Oklo, whose wisdom was as deep as the mountain valleys, performed ancient rituals, offering chicha and coca leaves to the Apus, the mountain spirits, seeking their blessing and guidance. The scent of burning incense mingled with the damp air, a smoky prayer rising towards the heavens. Then, the true work began. The sound of stone striking stone became the heartbeat of the mountain, a relentless rhythm that echoed through the valleys. The masons, with an almost mystical understanding of the earth's bounty, began to quarry the granite directly from the mountainside, their tools simple yet effective. They spoke to the stone, coaxing it from its ancient resting place, shaping it with a precision that defied the limitations of their era. Each block, some weighing many tons, was maneuvered into place using only the ingenuity of human muscle, ropes, levers, and the sheer force of collective will. The air was filled with the grunts of effort, the scrape of stone on stone, and the occasional shouted command, all woven into a tapestry of industrious sound. A pivotal moment arrived with the laying of the first stone for the Temple of the Sun. This was not merely a structural act, but a profound spiritual one, marking the beginning of the city's most sacred structure, a building destined to be aligned with the celestial dance of the sun and stars. On a day chosen by the astronomers and priests, when the sun's rays struck a particular point on the mountain, a hush fell over the bustling site. Mama Oklo, her face serene and ageless, presided over the ceremony. She wore a cloak woven with intricate patterns depicting the cosmos, and her voice, though soft, carried an undeniable authority. Around her, the most skilled masons, their hands cleaned and purified, stood ready. The chosen stone, perfectly cut and polished, lay waiting. With deliberate movements, Mama Oklo poured sacred chicha over its surface, the liquid glistening in the sunlight, a libation to Inti, the sun god. A collective gasp, reverent and hopeful, rose from the assembled workers as the massive block was slowly, meticulously, guided into its destined position, forming the foundation of the curved wall that would embrace the sun's light. A deep sense of connection permeated the air, a feeling that they were not merely building a structure, but weaving their destiny into the very fabric of the cosmos. The sun, high above, seemed to shine with an added brilliance, blessing their endeavor. Simultaneously, another monumental task commenced, the cultivation of agricultural terraces. The farmers, who had journeyed alongside the masons, now turned their attention to the steep slopes surrounding the city. This was a testament to Inca ingenuity, a brilliant solution for sustainable farming in the challenging Andean terrain. With surveying tools of remarkable precision, they began to carve out vast, stepped platforms from the mountainside. Each terrace was meticulously engineered, its retaining walls built from carefully fitted stones, designed not only to hold the fertile soil but also to manage water flow, preventing erosion and maximizing agricultural yield. The workers moved with a practiced grace, their bodies accustomed to the demanding labor, their movements a dance of efficiency. They hauled rich earth from the valley floors, basket by heavy basket, filling the newly formed platforms. The air, though still cool, now carried the faint, earthy smell of turned soil, a promise of future harvests. Watching them, one understood that these terraces were more than just fields. They were living sculptures, a harmonious integration of human effort and natural landscape, ensuring the city's self-sufficiency and demonstrating a profound respect for the earth. The rhythmic chipping of stone for the retaining walls and the soft thud of soil being tamped down created a continuous, industrious hum, a symphony of creation. As the city began to take shape, its spiritual heart was also being established. High on the central plaza, a unique stone formation, the Intihuatana, or hitching post of the sun, rose majestically. This carved pillar, precisely oriented to cast shadows that marked the solstices and equinoxes, was not merely an astronomical observatory but a sacred conduit, a place where the Inca priests could symbolically say hitched the sun, ensuring its return each year. Mama Oclo, her presence a calming anchor amidst the constant activity, performed the first ritual in the Intihuatana. The air around the stone felt charged with an ancient energy, a mystical resonance. She approached the Intihuatana with slow, deliberate steps, her hands outstretched, palms facing the heavens. The sun, nearing its zenith, cast a sharp, defining shadow from the stone, a shadow that seemed to pulse with life. Mama Oclo chanted ancient prayers, her voice a low, melodic hum that resonated with the very stones of the mountain. She placed offerings of maize and coca leaves at the base of the pillar, her movements graceful and imbued with profound reverence. The scent of the offerings, earthy and sweet, mingled with the crisp mountain air. This consecration established Machu Picchu's spiritual core, cementing its connection to celestial observations and ensuring its role as a sacred sanctuary, a place where the earthly and the divine converged. The workers, pausing in their arduous tasks, watched from a respectful distance, feeling the weight of the moment, understanding that they were not just building a city, but a bridge between worlds. Throughout this period of intense construction, the vast Inca communication network buzzed with activity. Chasquis, the empire's legendary relay runners, served as the vital arteries connecting the remote mountain project to the imperial capital. Along the Capacnan, the great Inca road, these swift messengers ran, their lungs accustomed to the thin mountain air, their bodies honed by countless miles. A Chasqui, perhaps named Huayna, his legs burning with exertion, would arrive at a relay station, a tambo, his chest heaving, but his eyes bright with purpose. He carried a quipu, a complex system of knotted cords, which held the latest updates on the progress of Machu Picchu. The quipu master at the tambo would quickly decipher the intricate knots, translating the information into a verbal message for the next runner. The Temple of the Sun's foundation is set, one message might convey, the terraces on the eastern slope are nearing completion, the harvest will be plentiful. Another might detail the number of stones quarried, the challenges faced, the blessings received. Huayna, after a brief rest and a drink of chicha, would take the newly encoded quipu from the tambo master and sprint off, his colorful tunic a blur against the green and brown of the mountainside. The sound of his footsteps, light and rhythmic, was a familiar comfort along the ancient paths. He passed through cloud forests where the mist hung heavy, obscuring the path for moments before revealing it again, and across high passes where the wind whipped at his hair, carrying the distant cry of a condor. His journey was a testament to the empire's diligence and its commitment to this monumental project, ensuring that the Sapa Inca in Cusco was constantly updated on the remote city's development. The efficient communication network highlighted the Chasqui's vital role, not merely as messengers, but as living links, binding the distant, industrious site to the very heart of the empire, weaving a continuous thread of progress and purpose across the vast Andean landscape. The knowledge that their efforts were recognized and valued, that their work was part of a grander imperial design, fueled the builders and artisans, instilling in them a deep sense of shared purpose and connection. Each message delivered was a reaffirmation of their collective dream, a whisper carried on the wind, echoing the Sapa Inca's vision across hundreds of miles. The messages, carried by swift runners along ancient pathways, brought not only directives but also a profound sense of connection, binding the remote construction site to the very heart of the empire, weaving a continuous thread of progress and purpose across the vast Andean landscape. The knowledge that their efforts were recognized and valued, that their work was part of a grander imperial design, fueled the builders and artisans, instilling in them a deep sense of shared purpose and connection. Each message delivered was a reaffirmation of their collective dream, a whisper carried on the wind, echoing the Sapa Inca's vision across hundreds of miles. Years had passed since the first stones were meticulously shaped and laid, years marked by the relentless chipping of hammers against granite, the rhythmic grunts of men hauling colossal blocks, and the ceaseless murmur of the Urubamba River far below. The initial, raw ambition had slowly, painstakingly, taken on form and substance, rising from the rugged mountain spine like a dream solidified into stone. The air, once filled with the chaotic clamor of a nascent construction site, had gradually settled into a more harmonious hum, a symphony of finishing touches and structural completion. The crisp, thin air of the Andean highlands, carrying the perpetual scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, now mingled with the faint, sweet smell of freshly cut timber and the mineral tang of newly exposed rock. The primary residential complexes, with their precisely cut stone walls and steeply pitched thatched roofs, now stood ready, their interiors cool and inviting, offering shelter from the sun's fierce midday embrace and the mountain's chilling night winds. Courtyards, paved with smooth, dark stones, offered quiet spaces for contemplation, surrounded by the sturdy, enduring architecture. The ceremonial plazas, vast and open to the expansive Andean sky, were meticulously leveled, their surfaces prepared for the sacred rituals that would bind the community to the cosmos. The administrative buildings, strategically positioned, oversaw the flow of goods and people, their sturdy foundations promising centuries of efficient governance. Each structure, from the grandest temple to the humblest dwelling, spoke of an unparalleled dedication to precision and an innate understanding of the mountain's formidable spirit. The Intihuatana, the sacred hitching post of the sun, now stood proudly atop its terraced platform, its finely carved gnomon reaching skyward, a silent, powerful testament to the Incas' profound astronomical knowledge and their reverence for Inti, the sun god. Its shadow, cast with unerring accuracy, marked the passage of time, a cosmic clock embedded in the very heart of the city. The Temple of the Sun, a marvel of curvilinear masonry, embraced the natural curve of the rock, its golden trapezoidal niches awaiting the precious offerings that would adorn its inner sanctum. The Temple of the Three Windows, with its commanding views of the eastern mountains, framed the rising sun with majestic grace, its massive, perfectly fitted stones a testament to engineering prowess and spiritual insight. The city was not merely a collection of buildings, it was an organic extension of the mountain itself, its terraces flowing down the steep slopes like verdant waves, preventing erosion and creating fertile ground for sustenance. These agricultural terraces, a masterpiece of sustainable engineering, were now fully functional, their rich soil nurtured by an ingenious irrigation system that channeled pure mountain spring water through a network of precisely cut stone canals. The rhythmic gurgle of water, a constant, soothing presence, flowed through the city, sustaining life and echoing the very pulse of the land. A profound sense of accomplishment settled over the chief architects and engineers, men who had poured their lives and intellect into this monumental undertaking. They walked through the finished courtyards, their eyes tracing the faultless lines of the walls, their hands brushing against the cool, smooth stone, feeling the culmination of years of relentless effort. There was a quiet pride in their bearing, a deep satisfaction that transcended mere professional success. They had not just built a city, they had manifested a vision, a sacred space where the earthly and the divine converged. The air, often thick with the mist and low-hanging clouds that drifted through the peaks, now seemed to part for them, revealing glimpses of distant, snow-capped summits, a silent acknowledgement of their triumph. Word had been sent to Cusco, carried by the swiftest chasquis, announcing the completion of the principal structures, the final touches laid upon the magnificent citadel. The message, meticulously encoded and memorized, spoke of a city ready to welcome its Sapa Inca, a sanctuary carved from the very essence of the Andes, awaiting its sovereign. The anticipation in the mountain city was palpable, a quiet hum beneath the surface of daily life. The artisans meticulously polished the last stone, the farmers tended their perfectly aligned crops with renewed vigor, and the priests prepared the ceremonial spaces, their chants a low, reverent murmur against the mountain breeze. Finally, the day arrived. A small, distinguished retinue, led by the Sapa Inca Pachacuti himself, began the arduous ascent from the sacred valley. The journey, though familiar, was undertaken with a heightened sense of purpose, each step bringing them closer to the culmination of a decade-long dream. Pachacuti, his bearing regal and his eyes keen, rode at the head of the procession, his thoughts a complex tapestry of anticipation, spiritual reflection, and the weight of his imperial responsibilities. He had envisioned this city not merely as a royal estate or a military stronghold, but as a sacred retreat, a place where the spirit of the empire could commune directly with the mountain gods. As they ascended through the cloud forest, the air grew cooler, denser, imbued with the rich, earthy scent of damp moss and the sweet, exotic perfume of unseen orchids. The ethereal mist, a constant companion in these higher altitudes, swirled around them, momentarily obscuring the path, then parting to reveal glimpses of ancient trees draped in epiphytes, their branches reaching like gnarled arms towards the heavens. The sounds of the forest to the distant chirping of unseen birds, the rustle of leaves, the gentle drip of moisture to created a hushed, reverent atmosphere, a natural prelude to the sacred destination. Pachacuti felt the subtle shift in the air, a change in the mountain's energy as they drew nearer. He had always possessed an intuitive connection to the land, a profound understanding of its spiritual currents, and he sensed the powerful presence of the Apis, the mountain spirits, watching over this sacred place. His heart, usually a steady drum of imperial resolve, now beat with a quiet excitement, a profound sense of impending fulfillment. He remembered the initial reconnaissance, the arduous climb to this remote, untamed ridge, the moment he had first stood upon this precipice, gazing out at the dizzying expanse of mountains and river below, and known, with an unshakable certainty, that this was the chosen site. As the path finally emerged from the dense forest, the mist, as if on cue, began to thin, revealing the first tantalizing glimpses of the city. It appeared not as a jarring imposition on the landscape, but as an organic outgrowth of the mountain itself, its grey stone walls blending seamlessly with the granite peaks. The first structures to emerge from the swirling clouds were the upper agricultural terraces, their verdant green contrasting sharply with the rugged grey stone, a testament to human ingenuity nurturing life from raw rock. Pachacuti dismounted, his feet finding the familiar, firm earth of the mountain path. He walked the remaining distance, his pace deliberate, his gaze sweeping across the emerging panorama. The principal architects and priests, who had been awaiting his arrival with bated breath, bowed deeply as he approached, their faces etched with a mixture of reverence and profound relief. He offered them a slight, acknowledging nod, his eyes already fixed on the masterpiece before him. He stood at the entrance to the upper sector, where the first ceremonial buildings greeted the visitor, and a slow, deep breath filled his lungs, carrying the crisp, thin air of the Andean highlands. The air was alive with the subtle scent of damp stone, ancient earth, and the distant, elusive fragrance of mountain flowers carried on the gentle breeze. A profound silence enveloped the city, broken only by the whisper of the wind through the stone passages and the distant, almost imperceptible murmur of the Urubamba River, thousands of feet below, a silver ribbon winding through the valley. Pachacuti began his solemn procession through the city, his footsteps echoing softly on the precisely laid stone paths. He walked past the residential quarters, noting the sturdy construction, the thoughtful placement of windows and doorways to capture the sun's warmth and offer breathtaking views. He observed the communal areas, imagining the lives that would unfold within these walls, the laughter of children, the quiet conversations of families, the shared meals. A sense of deep satisfaction bloomed within him, a quiet warmth spreading through his chest. He ascended to the Intihuatana, the sun's hitching post, its finely carved gnomon reaching towards the sky. He placed his hand upon the cool, smooth stone, feeling the ancient energy emanating from it, a direct connection to the cosmos. He looked east, towards the rising sun, and then west, towards the setting sun, understanding the profound spiritual significance of this place, its alignment with the celestial dance. The air here felt charged, sacred, a place where the veil between worlds thinned. From the Intihuatana, he gazed out across the entire city, his eyes tracing the intricate network of terraces, the flowing lines of the stone walls, the strategic placement of each building. Below him, the Temple of the Sun curved gracefully around its natural rock foundation, its golden niches now gleaming faintly in the afternoon light, awaiting the sacred offerings. the Temple of the Three Windows, with its commanding view of the eastern mountains, framed the vastness of the Andean landscape, a majestic portal to the spiritual realm. He saw the agricultural terraces, a vibrant tapestry of green, cascading down the steep slopes, a testament to the Incas' ability to coax life from the most challenging terrain. The intricate irrigation system, a network of stone channels, shimmered faintly with the flow of pure mountain water, a lifeblood coursing through the city. A lone condor, a majestic silhouette against the vast blue canvas of the sky, circled high above, its immense wings catching the air currents, a silent, powerful guardian of the peaks. Its distant cry, a lonely, echoing sound, carried on the wind, a primal voice resonating across the valleys, a sound that stirred something ancient and profound within Pachacuti. It was a sound that spoke of untamed wilderness, of boundless freedom, and of the enduring spirit of the Andes. Pachacuti's gaze finally settled on the distant peaks, on the towering silhouette of Machu Picchu, its iconic shape rising majestically behind the city, and on the vast, undulating expanse of mountains that stretched to the horizon. He felt a profound connection to this land, a spiritual resonance that transcended the physical. This city, his city, was not merely a conquest of stone and labor, it was a testament to the enduring spirit of his people, their ingenuity, their resilience, and their unwavering devotion to the divine. A deep sense of pride swelled within him, not a boastful pride, but a quiet, profound satisfaction, a feeling of having fulfilled a sacred trust. He had taken a vision, a whisper from the hues, and manifested it into a tangible, breathtaking reality. This citadel, nestled among the clouds, was a sanctuary, a place of profound beauty and spiritual power, a legacy that would endure for generations, a testament to the strength and wisdom of the Inca Empire. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the crisp mountain air fill his lungs, feeling the warmth of the sun on his face, listening to the gentle murmur of the wind. He imagined the future, the ceremonies that would take place here, the wisdom that would be shared, the spiritual connection that would be forged. This was more than just a city, it was a living prayer, a sacred offering to the gods, a beacon of Inca power and spiritual devotion. When he opened his eyes, a serene, almost beatific smile touched his lips. The dream had been realized, and it was more magnificent than even he had dared to imagine. He had built a sanctuary in the clouds, and it stood as a majestic, fulfilling testament to his triumph. The Inca ruler, having seen his vision materialize in stone and spirit, felt a profound peace settle within his heart, a quiet satisfaction that transcended the earthly realm. He knew, with an ancient certainty, that he had fulfilled his destiny, leaving behind a legacy etched into the very mountains themselves. The city of Machu Picchu, a jewel nestled in the sacred embrace of the Andes, flourished for generations, a vibrant hub where the wisdom of the ancestors intertwined with the rhythms of daily life. Priests performed intricate ceremonies, their chants echoing through the terraced fields as the sun climbed above the peaks, while farmers meticulously tended their crops, their hands calloused from generations of working the fertile earth. Children played among the stone structures, their laughter carried on the crisp mountain air, oblivious to the vastness of the empire that stretched far beyond their mountain sanctuary. Life flowed in a harmonious cycle, each sunrise bringing new purpose, each sunset a moment for reflection and gratitude. The intricate network of trails that snaked through the cloud forest buzzed with activity, messengers carrying vital information, traders exchanging goods, pilgrims making their way to the sacred city. The air, thin and pure, always carried the scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, a constant reminder of the wild, untamed beauty that surrounded them. From the highest vantage points, the watchful eyes of the Inca could survey their domain, a testament to their ingenuity and their deep reverence for the natural world. Machu Picchu was not just a city, it was a living, breathing entity, a sanctuary where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds felt exquisitely thin. Then, like a shadow creeping across the sun-drenched terraces, a new kind of whisper began to travel along those ancient trails, carried not by messengers, but by the wind itself, a chilling current of unease. At first, they were just fragmented tales, stories of strange, pale-skinned men arriving on colossal ships that sailed upon the endless ocean, men clad in shining metal, wielding thunder sticks that spat fire and death. These rumors, initially dismissed as fantastical exaggerations from distant coastal tribes, grew steadily more persistent, more vivid, painting a picture of an encroaching force unlike anything the Inca had ever known. Pachacuti's successors, wise and discerning rulers in their own right, listened with growing apprehension as these reports filtered into the heart of the empire. They spoke of cities falling, of ancient gods being defiled, of a relentless advance that seemed to consume everything in its path. The air in Cusco, the imperial capital, grew heavy with a tension that even the most seasoned priests could not dispel. The distant cry of a condor, once a majestic and lonely sound echoing across the valleys, now seemed to carry a note of foreboding, a lament for what was to come. Machu Picchu, nestled high in its cloud-shrouded sanctuary, felt the tremors of this distant storm, though its isolation initially offered a fragile shield. The flow of pilgrims began to dwindle, the vibrant energy of the trails slowly receding into a quiet hum. The priests, usually serene and focused on their celestial observations, started to gather in hushed conversations, their faces etched with concern as they interpreted omens that seemed increasingly grim. The familiar rhythm of life, once so assured, began to falter, replaced by an undercurrent of anxiety that permeated even the most mundane tasks. The empire, vast and powerful, was already grappling with internal strife, a bitter civil war that had weakened its foundations, leaving it vulnerable to the unimaginable threat now looming on its horizon. The pale-skinned invaders, driven by an insatiable hunger for gold and dominion, pressed relentlessly inland, their horses thundering across lands that had known only the quiet tread of human feet. Diseases, unknown and devastating, swept through the indigenous populations like an invisible plague, decimating entire communities, leaving behind only silence and sorrow. The very fabric of Inca society began to unravel, not with a sudden tear, but with a slow, agonizing fraying. Machu Picchu, never truly discovered by the Spanish, was not conquered in battle, its stones never stained by the blood of invaders. Instead, it was abandoned, slowly, deliberately, as if the mountain itself was exhaling its inhabitants. As the empire crumbled around them, the people of Machu Picchu, guided by the wisdom of their elders, began to leave their sacred city. It was not a panicked flight, but a somber, organized retreat, a heartbreaking exodus. Families gathered their most cherished possessions, their ancestral tools, their sacred idols, and began the long, sorrowful descent down the mountain trails, seeking refuge in more remote valleys, blending into the vastness of the jungle, or joining the dwindling resistance. The vibrant hum of life gradually faded from the terraces and plazas. The fires in the hearths grew cold, their smoke no longer curling into the Andean sky. The sounds of children's laughter, once so abundant, were replaced by the rustle of wind through empty doorways. The meticulous care that had kept the terraces pristine, the canals flowing, the buildings intact, slowly ceased. The last priest to leave, an old man whose face was a map of ancient wisdom, paused at the sun gate, his gaze sweeping across the silent city. He performed a final, solitary ritual, a quiet prayer for protection, for remembrance, for the enduring spirit of his people. A single tear traced a path down his weathered cheek as he turned his back on the sacred stones, knowing that he was leaving a part of his soul behind. He did not look back, for to do so would be to break the fragile resolve that held him together. Centuries passed, each year bringing a deeper embrace from the surrounding wilderness. The cloud forest, ever vigilant, ever persistent, began its slow, inexorable reclamation. Tiny seeds, carried by the wind or deposited by birds, found purchase in the cracks between the perfectly fitted stones. Delicate mosses, green and velvety, spread their soft carpets across ancient walls, obscuring the intricate carvings. Vines, thick and sinuous, snaked their way around pillars, their tendrils reaching for the sky, slowly pulling apart the mortarless joints. The ethereal mist and low-hanging clouds, which once lent an air of mystery to the bustling city, now became its silent shroud, concealing it from the outside world. The intricate agricultural terraces, once meticulously maintained and bursting with life, slowly surrendered to the wild. Ferns unfurled their fronds, tall grasses swayed in the mountain breeze, and small, hardy trees began to push their roots deep into the rich soil, asserting their dominion. The carefully engineered water channels, once a marvel of Inca ingenuity, became clogged with debris, their gentle flow diverted, their purpose forgotten. The jungle, with its vibrant greens and earthy browns, patiently, peacefully, swallowed the city whole, transforming it from a bustling metropolis into a forgotten whisper in the heart of the Andes. The stone structures, built with such precision and enduring strength, did not crumble into dust. Instead, they became one with the landscape, their sharp edges softened by time and vegetation, their imposing forms integrated into the natural contours of the mountain. They were not destroyed, but absorbed, becoming part of the very earth from which they had been carved. The wind, whistling through the empty windows and doorways, carried only the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of unseen birds, a symphony of nature's quiet triumph. For full long centuries, Machu Picchu lay hidden, a ghost city nestled amongst the peaks, its secrets guarded by the impenetrable embrace of the cloud forest. It became a legend, a myth whispered among the few indigenous communities who still lived in the remote valleys, a sacred place known only to a handful of local farmers who occasionally stumbled upon its overgrown paths. The world outside, consumed by its own tumultuous history, remained utterly unaware of the magnificent city that slumbered beneath a blanket of green, a testament to human ingenuity and spiritual devotion, patiently awaiting its rediscovery. The air, still crisp and thin, carried the scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, a timeless fragrance that promised both memory and rebirth. The world outside, consumed by its own tumultuous history, remained utterly unaware of the magnificent city that slumbered beneath a blanket of green, a testament to human ingenuity and spiritual devotion, patiently awaiting its rediscovery. The air, still crisp and thin, carried the scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, a timeless fragrance that promised both memory and rebirth. For centuries, the city remained a silent sentinel, its granite walls slowly yielding to the embrace of the jungle, its finely carved stones becoming canvases for moss and lichen. The intricate pathways, once trod by the sandals of Inca priests and nobles, softened under layers of fallen leaves and the patient growth of roots. Macaws, with their vibrant plumage, nested in niches where sacred offerings once rested, their raucous calls echoing through courtyards that had once buzzed with ceremonial chants. Wild orchids, delicate and vibrant, bloomed in profusion from crevices, their beauty a quiet defiance against the encroaching wilderness. The Sun Temple, its curved wall a masterpiece of precision masonry, continued to track the celestial movements, even as its purpose faded from the collective memory of the surrounding valleys, its silent observatory patiently marking the solstices and equinoxes for an audience of only the clouds and the condors. Yet, Machu Picchu was never entirely forgotten. Down in the valleys, along the Urubamba River, and nestled into the folds of the lower mountains, lived families whose ancestors had witnessed the city's final, quiet days. Their villages were small, their lives simple, dictated by the rhythms of planting and harvest, the flow of the river, and the ancient wisdom passed down through generations. They spoke Quechua, the language of their forebears, and their traditions, though adapted, still held echoes of the grand Inca past. For them, that old city up on the ridge was not a lost wonder, but simply Patacala, that old ruins, or sometimes Machu Picchu, the old peak. It was a place of spirits, a place to be respected, perhaps even a little feared, but certainly not a place to be disturbed or widely discussed with outsiders. One such family was that of Melchor Arteaga. His small farm, a patchwork of terraced fields clinging to a steep hillside, lay several days' journey downriver from the hidden city, yet he knew of its existence. His grandfather, a man whose eyes held the deep, knowing gaze of the mountains themselves, had spoken of it, not as a secret to be guarded, but as a part of the landscape, like the river or the towering peaks. It is a place of the Apu, his grandfather had said, referring to the mountain spirits, a place where the ancestors sleep. Melchor, even as a young boy, understood the reverence in his grandfather's tone, a reverence that transcended mere curiosity. He had visited the site himself a few times, guided by an older cousin, to gather firewood from the abundant trees that grew amidst the stones, or to let his small herd of goats graze on the rich, untamed grasses of the terraces. He had seen the massive stones, the precision of their fit, and felt the palpable weight of time and history that clung to the air there, a silent hum beneath the chirping of insects and the rustle of leaves. Melchor was a man of the mountains, his frame lean and strong, his skin tanned and creased by the relentless Andean sun and wind. His eyes, dark and intelligent, constantly scanned the horizon, reading the subtle shifts in the weather, the distant movements of animals, the almost imperceptible changes in the landscape that spoke volumes to him. His hands, calloused from years of working the soil and tending to his animals, were also deft and precise, capable of weaving intricate baskets or carving useful tools from wood. His life was one of quiet resilience, a constant negotiation with the elements, a deep connection to the earth that sustained him and his family. He had a wife, a woman named Pasha, whose quiet strength mirrored his own, and several children, whose laughter often echoed through their small, humble home. Their days were filled with the rhythm of daily chores, planting potatoes and maize, tending to their llamas and alpacas, fetching water from the mountain springs, and preparing simple, nourishing meals over an open fire. The outside world, with its grand empires and scientific expeditions, was a distant, abstract concept, barely touching their immediate reality. The concept of the discoverer was alien to Melcher and his people. How could something be discovered when it had always been there, woven into the very fabric of their existence, a silent witness to generations of their lives? The ruins were simply a part of their world, a landmark, a source of occasional resources, a place of ancient power. They held no grand historical narrative for them, no yearning for scholarly recognition or archaeological fame. They were simply there, enduring, like the mountains themselves. The world had moved on, wars had been fought, empires had risen and fallen, but here, in the secluded valleys and high peaks, life continued in much the same way it had for centuries, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Quechua people. One crisp morning, as the first rays of the sun began to paint the eastern peaks in hues of rose and gold, Melcher was tending to his small potato patch, his back bent over the rich, dark soil. The air was still cold, carrying the sharp scent of damp earth and the faint, sweet perfume of wild orchids blooming in a nearby thicket. A thin mist still clung to the higher ridges, promising a clear day ahead. Suddenly, the distant sound of voices, not the familiar tones of his neighbors, carried on the wind. He straightened slowly, his hand instinctively resting on the handle of his digging stick, his gaze sweeping towards the river path. Soon, figures emerged from the winding trail, their clothing and equipment distinctly foreign. There were several of them, led by a man with a determined stride and an air of intense purpose. His skin was pale, his clothes made of unfamiliar fabrics, and he carried a strange device that Melcher guessed was for looking at distant things. This was Hiram Bingham, an American academic, driven by a passionate, almost obsessive, quest for the lost city of the Incas. He had heard whispers, vague rumors, of ruins hidden deep in the Andean cloud forest, and his relentless pursuit had led him to this remote corner of the Urubamba Valley. Bingham, accompanied by a local interpreter and a small contingent of Peruvian police, approached Melcher's humble dwelling. The air crackled with a subtle tension, a clash of worlds. Bingham, eager and full of questions, spoke rapidly in Spanish, which the interpreter translated into Quechua. He spoke of ancient cities, of the last Inca rulers, of a desire to find a place called Vicos or Vilcabamba, the last refuge of the Inca. Melcher listened patiently, his face impassive, his dark eyes taking in every detail of the stranger. He understood the words, but the underlying urgency, the academic fervor, was foreign to him. Bingham, frustrated by the lack of concrete information from the villagers he had encountered thus far, was growing impatient. He described the kind of ruins he sought: grand, important, a city. He showed drawings of Inca masonry, hoping to spark a memory, a recognition. Melcher, after a long moment of consideration, slowly nodded. He knew of such a place of large stones, high up on the ridge between two peaks. He called it Machu Picchu. Bingham's eyes, usually sharp and analytical, widened with a sudden, almost childlike excitement. He pressed Melcher for details, for directions. Melcher, ever practical, explained that the path was difficult, overgrown, and steep, requiring a strong guide. He also mentioned that his family had a small plot of land up there where they sometimes planted maize, and that two families, the Richard and the Alvarez, actually lived closer to the site, cultivating small fields amidst the ruins themselves. This detail, that people were living there, struck Bingham as both astonishing and immensely promising. A negotiation ensued, a quiet dance between two very different men. Bingham offered money, a silver coin that gleamed brightly in Melcher's calloused palm, a sum that represented a significant amount for the farmer. Melcher, weighing the needs of his family against his natural caution towards outsiders, finally agreed to guide the American. It was not a decision made lightly, but the promise of sustenance for his family, perhaps even some tools or provisions, outweighed his reluctance. He saw an opportunity, a way to provide for his own, and perhaps a chance to show this earnest, if somewhat naive, foreigner a piece of the world he knew so intimately. The next morning, under a sky that promised a day of brilliant sunshine after the morning mist had burned away, Melcher Arteaga led Bingham and his small party away from his farm. He carried a machete, his worn but sturdy sandals gripping the damp earth of the narrow trail. The air grew cooler as they ascended, the scent of damp earth now mingled with the deeper, richer aroma of forest decay and the sharp, clean smell of pine. The path was steep and winding, often obscured by thick vegetation, requiring Melcher to hack away at vines and branches with practiced ease. Bingham, though physically fit, struggled to keep pace with the nimble Quechua guide, whose movements were as fluid and effortless as a mountain goat. As they climbed higher, the cloud forest enveloped them, a world of perpetual twilight and dripping moisture. Giant ferns unfurled their fronds, broad leaves brushed against their faces, and the air grew heavy with humidity. The sounds of the jungle were all around them, the chirping of unseen insects, the distant calls of birds, the gentle drip of water from leaves. Melcher moved with an innate understanding of the terrain, his eyes constantly scanning, his ears attuned to the subtle shifts in the environment. He pointed out edible plants, identified animal tracks, and navigated treacherous sections of the path with an almost instinctual grace. Bingham, despite his academic focus, found himself awestruck by the sheer wildness and beauty of the landscape, a verdant labyrinth that seemed to swallow all traces of human endeavor. After several hours of arduous climbing, they reached a small, rudimentary hut, little more than a shelter of poles and thatch. This was the home of a Quechua farmer named Richard, who, along with his family, cultivated a small patch of maize on the ancient terraces. Smoke curled lazily from a small fire outside the hut, and the scent of wood smoke and cooking food hung in the air. Children, their faces wide-eyed with curiosity, peeked out from behind their mothers' skirts. Richard, a man whose face was as weathered as Melcher's, greeted them with a quiet dignity, offering them water and a few kernels of roasted maize. He confirmed that the old city was just beyond his fields, a short walk away. Bingham, his heart pounding with anticipation, pressed on, barely pausing for rest. Melcher, with a quiet gesture, indicated the direction. They pushed through a thick curtain of bamboo and tangled vines, the air suddenly still and heavy. Then, as they emerged from the dense foliage, the world opened up before them. It was not the grand, sweeping vista that would later become iconic, but a more intimate, shrouded unveiling. What Bingham first saw was a series of agricultural terraces, meticulously constructed, rising in graceful curves up the mountainside. These were not mere overgrown fields. The precision of their stonework was unmistakable, even beneath the layers of soil and vegetation. Then, beyond them, partially obscured by trees and thickets, he began to discern walls, doorways, and the unmistakable outlines of ancient buildings. The air, which had been thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, now seemed to carry a different quality, a subtle tang of ancient stone and the deep, silent breath of history. Melcher stood a little apart, watching Bingham's reaction with a quiet, almost detached curiosity. For him, this was simply Machu Picchu, a place he knew, a place where his people had lived and worked for generations. He saw the wonder in Bingham's eyes, the sudden, almost reverent silence that fell over the American, and a faint, knowing smile touched his lips. He had led the foreigner to the old peak, as he had promised. Bingham, speechless for a moment, began to move through the ruins, his academic composure momentarily forgotten. He pushed through the undergrowth, his hands tracing the cold, smooth surfaces of the granite blocks. He saw the finely cut stones, the perfect joints, the ingenious drainage systems, all partially hidden beneath the relentless embrace of the jungle. He saw the Sun Temple, its curved walls still magnificent, the Intihuatana stone, a silent sundial, and the intricate network of plazas and residencies. The scale of it, the sheer artistry and engineering, even in its overgrown state, was overwhelming. This was not just a small outpost or a simple fortress. This was a city, a significant urban center, unlike anything he had imagined. Melcher watched as Bingham, accompanied by his interpreter, spoke with the Richard and Alvarez families, who lived amidst the ruins. He saw the children playing near the ancient walls, their laughter echoing through courtyards that had once witnessed solemn ceremonies. He saw the women tending their fires, their simple lives intertwined with the grandeur of the past. For these families, the ruins were their home, their fields, their source of shelter and sustenance. They knew the paths, the hidden springs, the best places to gather firewood. They had lived here, generation after generation, quietly, enduringly, while the world outside remained oblivious. The world had forgotten Machu Picchu, but its people, the descendants of its builders, had not. They had simply incorporated it into their lives, a silent, majestic backdrop to their daily existence. Melcher understood this deep connection, this quiet continuity. He had brought an outsider to a place that was both ancient and living, a place that held the spirits of the past and the simple, enduring lives of the present. He had bridged, for a fleeting moment, two vastly different understandings of the world. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long, dramatic shadows across the terraces and illuminating the mist that now began to gather in the valleys below, Bingham turned to Melcher, his face alight with a profound sense of awe and triumph. He spoke words of gratitude, his voice filled with an almost breathless excitement. Melcher, in turn, accepted the thanks with a quiet nod, his gaze already drifting towards the distant peaks, towards the setting sun. His duty was done. He had guided the stranger, had shown him the old peak. The journey back down the mountain was less arduous, but no less significant. Melcher led the way, his figure silhouetted against the fading light, a silent guardian of the mountain's secrets. He knew that the world would soon descend upon this place, that its quiet solitude would be forever altered. He felt a pang of something akin to sadness, a quiet resignation, but also a deep, abiding connection to the land that would endure regardless of human discovery or exploration. The mountains, the rivers, the ancient stones they would remain, silent witnesses to the passage of time, to the enduring spirit of the land and its people. As darkness finally enveloped the peaks, and the first stars began to prickle the vast Andean sky, Melcher returned to his family, to the warmth of his home, to the familiar rhythms of his life. He had played his part, a quiet, unassuming role in a moment that would reshape history. The sleeping giants of Machu Picchu had been stirred, not by a grand, dramatic awakening, but by the quiet, steady footsteps of a humble guide, whose ancestral knowledge had finally, gently, drawn the world's gaze back to a place of timeless wonder. The air, now cool and still, carried the scent of night-blooming flowers and the distant murmur of the Urubamba River, a lullaby for a world poised on the brink of rediscovery. The air, now cool and still, carried the scent of night-blooming flowers and the distant murmur of the Urubamba River, a lullaby for a world poised on the brink of rediscovery. Far from the hushed valleys where ancient stones lay dreaming, across vast oceans and continents, a different kind of stirring was taking place within the mind of Hiram Bingham III, an American academic whose spirit yearned for the thrill of the unknown. He was a man of meticulous research and boundless energy, his days consumed by dusty tomes and faded maps, his nights often punctuated by dreams of a lost civilization, a final Inca stronghold rumored to lie hidden deep within the Andean cloud forests. The year was 1911, and the academic world buzzed with theories about Vilcabamba, the legendary lost city of the Incas, a place where the last Inca emperors were said to have retreated, maintaining a defiant independence against the encroaching Spanish conquistadors. Bingham, with his sharp, analytical mind and an adventurous heart, believed he could be the one to unearth its secrets, to bring its forgotten history into the light of day. His initial expedition to Peru had been fueled by a potent blend of academic curiosity and a romanticized vision of discovery, a quest not merely for ruins, but for validation, for the tangible proof of a grand narrative he felt compelled to tell. He had arrived in the bustling, sun-drenched city of Cusco, a place where colonial architecture intertwined with the colossal stone foundations of Inca palaces, a city that hummed with the echoes of a glorious past. The air here was thinner, crisper than anything he had known, carrying the faint, earthy smell of damp stone and distant eucalyptus. He spent weeks poring over ancient Spanish chronicles, interviewing local historians, and tracing the faint, often contradictory, lines on old charts, each clue a thread in a complex tapestry he was determined to unravel. His days were long, his nights short, his mind a whirlwind of possibilities, each new piece of information firing his imagination. He envisioned himself not just as an explorer, but as a detective of history, piecing together fragments of a forgotten epic. The journey into the Andean wilderness began with a sense of hopeful expectation, a small caravan of mules laden with scientific instruments, photographic equipment, and provisions, winding its way through increasingly rugged terrain. Bingham, a man of medium height with a determined set to his jaw and keen, intelligent eyes that missed little, rode at the head of the procession. He wore practical khaki attire, a wide-brimmed hat shielding him from the fierce equatorial sun, and a camera always within reach, ready to capture every significant detail. The landscape transformed dramatically with each passing day, from the cultivated fields of the Sacred Valley, where terrace slopes climbed towards the sky like giant staircases, to the dense, humid embrace of the cloud forest. Here, the air grew heavy with moisture, the scent of orchids and unknown jungle flora filling his nostrils, and the constant hum of unseen insects became the soundtrack to their progress. The path was often treacherous, narrow trails clinging precariously to mountainsides, sheer drops plunging into mist-shrouded valleys below. Bingham, despite his academic background, possessed a remarkable physical resilience, pushing himself and his team onward, his enthusiasm infectious. He faced skepticism from some of his colleagues, who doubted the existence of a grand lost city in such an impenetrable landscape, but Bingham's conviction remained unshaken. He believed that the greatest discoveries often lay hidden beyond the reach of easy access, protected by the very wildness of nature. He was driven by an almost spiritual desire to bring these forgotten histories to light, to give voice to the silent stones, to understand the ingenuity and resilience of the people who had built such wonders. As they delved deeper into the Urubamba Valley, the river itself became a constant companion, its powerful currents a testament to the raw, untamed energy of the Andes. Bingham's search led him through numerous small villages, where he questioned the local Quechua people, hoping for a definitive lead. Most offered polite but vague responses, their eyes often holding a quiet understanding that seemed to transcend the explorer's academic inquiries. He encountered ancient Inca roads, remarkably preserved despite centuries of neglect, their finely cut stones still forming perfect pathways through the wilderness, a testament to the advanced engineering of a vanished empire. These roads, often overgrown with moss and tangled vines, only deepened his conviction that something significant lay hidden nearby. One sweltering afternoon, after days of fruitless searching that had begun to fray the nerves of his companions, Bingham arrived at a small, unassuming settlement nestled beside the roaring Urubamba. The air was thick with humidity, the sun beating down through a thin veil of mist, and the scent of damp earth and wood smoke hung heavy. It was here, amidst a cluster of simple thatched-roof dwellings, that he first encountered Melchor Arteaga. Arteaga was a humble Quechua farmer, his face a roadmap of lines etched by years of sun and wind, his dark eyes holding a depth of knowledge that spoke of generations rooted in this very soil. He was tending a small plot of maize, his movement slow and deliberate, a picture of quiet resilience. Bingham, ever direct, approached the farmer with his usual earnestness, his limited Spanish struggling to convey the urgency of his quest. He spoke of ancient ruins, of a lost city, of the great Inca civilization. Arteaga listened patiently, his gaze steady, a faint, almost imperceptible smile playing on his lips. He understood the explorer's words, but he also understood the mountains, the river, and the secrets they held, secrets that were not lost to him, but simply unshared. Arteaga's primary concern was his family, his livelihood, and the rhythm of life dictated by the seasons and the land. He was initially wary of this persistent outsider, whose questions seemed to probe at something sacred, but he also recognized an opportunity. Perhaps this foreign visitor could offer a small payment, a trade for his time, something to help his family. Through a series of gestures and broken phrases, Bingham managed to convey his desire to cross the Urubamba River, to explore the steep, forested slopes on the opposite bank, where he had heard whispers of old Inca terraces. Arteaga considered this request, his eyes drifting towards the formidable mountainside, its upper reaches often shrouded in the ethereal mist that clung to the peaks like a protective veil. He knew the paths, the hidden trails that wound through the dense vegetation, paths known only to a few local families who still cultivated small plots of land high above the river. These were not the grand Inca roads Bingham had been following. These were ancient, almost forgotten footpaths, carved by generations of quiet footsteps. A crucial moment of decision hung in the humid air. Bingham, despite his academic rigor, possessed an intuitive understanding that this man, this quiet farmer, held the key. He offered Arteaga a silver dollar, a significant sum for the time and place, a tangible incentive that transcended the language barrier. Arteaga's gaze lingered on the coin, then shifted back to Bingham's expectant face. He saw the genuine, almost childlike hope in the explorer's eyes, a hope that resonated with a deeper, unspoken understanding of the land's enduring spirit. He nodded slowly, a silent agreement passing between them, a bridge forming between two vastly different worlds. The next morning, as the first rays of dawn painted the eastern peaks in hues of rose and gold, casting long, dramatic shadows across the valley, Arteaga led Bingham towards the river. The air was cool and invigorating, carrying the scent of damp earth and the distant, sweet perfume of mountain flowers. The Urubamba, a powerful, swirling torrent, presented a formidable barrier. There was no bridge here, only a precarious, hand-pulled raft, a simple platform of logs lashed together with ropes, designed to ferry people and goods across the churning waters. The crossing was an act of faith, the raft groaning under their weight, the river's roar deafening as it rushed past. Bingham felt the spray on his face, the raw power of the water beneath him, a visceral reminder of the untamed wilderness he was venturing into. Once on the other side, the climb began immediately, a steep, arduous ascent up the mountainside. Arteaga, moving with the effortless grace of someone intimately familiar with every root and stone, led the way. Bingham followed, his breath coming in ragged gasps, the humidity making the effort even more taxing. The path was barely discernible, often overgrown with thick jungle foliage, requiring Arteaga to hack away at vines with his machete, revealing glimpses of ancient, moss-covered stone steps beneath. The air grew cooler as they ascended, the mist beginning to swirl around them, lending an otherworldly quality to the dense forest. The sounds of the jungle were all around them, the chirping of unseen birds, the rustle of leaves, the distant cry of a condor circling high above, a lonely, majestic sound echoing across the vast, silent valleys. As they climbed higher, the vegetation began to thin in places, revealing tantalizing glimpses of the valley below, the Urubamba River a silver ribbon winding through the emerald green. Bingham's heart pounded not just from exertion, but from a growing sense of anticipation. He knew, with an almost primal certainty, that they were close. The whispers he had heard, the faint clues he had followed, were converging into a tangible reality. Arteaga, sensing the explorer's heightened excitement, maintained his quiet demeanor, his eyes scanning the terrain with an ancestral wisdom that needed no words. He was not leading Bingham to a lost city in the academic sense. He was simply guiding him to a place his people had always known, a place of enduring significance, a sacred citadel that had merely retreated from the gaze of the wider world. The mist, thick and ethereal, swirled around them, momentarily obscuring their view, then parting to reveal fleeting glimpses of the steep, terraced slopes. Bingham caught sight of something, a pattern in the landscape that was too regular, too intentional to be natural. His breath hitched in his throat. He pushed forward, his fatigue momentarily forgotten, his eyes wide with a mixture of wonder and disbelief. The air, now cool and damp, carried the faint, earthy scent of ancient stone and verdant growth, a perfume of time itself. He followed Arteaga through a final, dense thicket of bamboo and tangled vines, emerging onto a small, open plateau. And there, through a final parting of the swirling mist, it appeared. Not the grand, sprawling city he had imagined, but something far more profound, far more beautiful. A series of magnificent agricultural terraces, carved with breathtaking precision into the impossibly steep mountainside, rose before him like colossal green staircases reaching towards the heavens. These were not mere fields, they were works of art, testaments to an extraordinary human ingenuity, a harmonious blending of architecture and nature. The stones, perfectly fitted without mortar, spoke of a civilization that understood the land with an intimacy that bordered on reverence. The silence here was deep, broken only by the gentle whisper of the wind through the tall grasses and the distant, mournful call of a jungle bird. Bingham stood transfixed, his camera forgotten for a moment, his mind struggling to process the sheer scale and beauty of what lay before him. He had sought a lost city, a testament to Inca defiance, but he had found something far more enduring, a place of profound spiritual connection, a sanctuary carved from the very heart of the Andes. Arteaga stood quietly beside him, his gaze sweeping across the terraces with a familiar, almost proprietary air. For him, this was simply home, a place of ancestors and enduring life. For Bingham, it was the culmination of a quest, a moment of profound personal triumph, yet also a humbling realization that some of the greatest discoveries are not found, but rather gently revealed. The air, now filled with the ethereal light of the sun breaking through the mist, seemed to hum with the energy of centuries, a silent symphony of human endeavor and natural grandeur. The journey had been long, the path arduous, but the reward was immeasurable, a testament to the enduring spirit of both the explorer and the ancient people whose legacy he had now, unknowingly, brought back into the world's consciousness. The air, now filled with the ethereal light of the sun breaking through the mist, seemed to hum with the energy of centuries, a silent symphony of human endeavor and natural grandeur. The journey had been long, the path arduous, but the reward was immeasurable, a testament to the enduring spirit of both the explorer and the ancient people whose legacy he had now, unknowingly, brought back into the world's consciousness. Hiram Bingham, his heart thrumming with an almost unbearable anticipation, followed Melchor Arteaga up the final, steep incline. The air grew thinner with each upward step, biting at his lungs, yet he felt no fatigue, only a surge of pure, unadulterated adrenaline. The mist, which had clung so stubbornly to the lower slopes, now began to part, not dissipating entirely, but rather swirling like a celestial curtain drawn back by an unseen hand. The scent of damp earth and unfamiliar mountain flowers, a rich, earthy perfume, intensified around them, mingling with the crisp, clean tang of the high altitude. Bingham's camera, a heavy, brass-bound instrument, felt light in his hand, ready to capture whatever marvel lay hidden beyond the veil. Melcher, his calloused feet moving with silent grace over the uneven ground, paused at a particularly dense thicket of bamboo and gnarled, ancient trees. His gaze, usually placid and reserved, held a flicker of something deeper, a quiet reverence that Bingham had not seen before. He turned, his weathered face etched with the lines of generations, and gestured with a hand that had tilled the same soil for decades. There was no need for words. The unspoken invitation hung in the cool, moist air. Bingham pushed through the last barrier of tangled undergrowth, the leaves cool and wet against his face, and then, in an instant, the world shifted. The mist, which had been a gentle shroud, now became a theatrical backdrop, framing a sight that stole the very breath from his body. Before him, emerging from the swirling white, were walls of precisely cut white granite, rising with an impossible grace from the verdant mountainside. They were not crude, crumbling ruins, but rather structures of breathtaking artistry, their stones interlocking with such perfection that no mortar was needed, each block a testament to an ancient civilization's mastery. He stood transfixed, his mind struggling to reconcile the wild, untamed jungle with the profound order and beauty that now lay revealed. Terraces, impossibly green and perfectly sculpted, stepped down the mountainside like giant staircases carved for gods. Buildings, their roofs long vanished, stood sentinel, their doorways and windows gazing out across a panorama of dizzying peaks and plunging valleys. The sheer scale of it was overwhelming, a city not merely built upon a mountain, but seemingly grown from it, an organic extension of the earth itself. The silence, broken only by the distant, mournful cry of a condor circling high above, was profound, a sacred hush that seemed to vibrate with the echoes of a forgotten people. A wave of emotion, so potent it brought a sudden sting to his eyes, washed over Bingham. It was a mixture of triumph, of disbelief, and of an almost spiritual awe. This was not just an archaeological find, it was a revelation, a place of such breathtaking beauty and sophisticated design that it defied easy categorization. He had sought the lost city of Vilcabamba, a refuge of resistance, but what he had stumbled upon felt far grander, far more ancient, a sanctuary hidden from the world for centuries. The romanticized notions he held about ancient civilizations, often dismissed as mere academic whimsy, now solidified into tangible, undeniable truth before his very eyes. This was the culmination of years of relentless pursuit, of countless hours poring over dusty maps and deciphering obscure texts, of enduring skepticism and the brutal realities of jungle exploration. This was the moment his theories, his very life's work, found their ultimate validation. Melcher Arteaga, standing a respectful distance behind him, watched the explorer's reaction with a quiet understanding. For him, these ruins were not a discovery but a familiar presence, a part of the landscape, a silent neighbor to his small farm. He had known of them since childhood, had perhaps even grazed his llamas on these very terraces. Yet, seeing the profound impact they had on this earnest, driven outsider, he felt a faint stirring of something akin to pride, a quiet acknowledgement of the enduring power of his ancestors' creations. He saw the wonder in Bingham's eyes, the way his shoulders seemed to relax, shedding the invisible burden of his quest, and a subtle, almost imperceptible nod passed between them, a shared moment of recognition across cultures and centuries. Bingham, finally tearing his gaze from the panoramic vista, fumbled for his camera, his hands trembling slightly with excitement. He began to move, almost instinctively, through the overgrown pathways, his boots crunching on fallen leaves and ancient stones. He photographed everything, the intricate stonework, the sweeping terraces, the distant peaks shrouded in mist, the very air seeming to shimmer with history. Each click of the shutter was an act of preservation, a desperate attempt to capture the ephemeral magic of the moment, to document this impossible beauty before it could vanish again into the mists of time. He moved with a feverish energy, his academic training kicking in, transforming awe into meticulous observation. He noted the precise angles of the walls, the ingenious drainage systems, the way the structures seemed to harmonize with the natural contours of the mountain. The initial documentation was just the beginning, a frantic sketch of a masterpiece. The true work, the laborious and revealing task of uncovering the city, began almost immediately. Bingham, fueled by an inexhaustible zeal, directed his small team, which included his assistant, Harry Ward Foote, and a handful of local laborists, in the arduous process of clearing the dense vegetation. The jungle, which had so diligently guarded its secret, now had to be peeled back, layer by painstaking layer. Days bled into weeks, marked by the rhythmic sound of machetes hacking through thick vines and tangled roots, the rustle of leaves being pulled away, and the occasional clang of a tool against ancient stone. The air was thick with the scent of freshly cut foliage, damp earth, and the sweat of exertion. The sun, when it broke through the clouds, beat down with an intense Andean glare, heating the exposed granite, while sudden, chilling mists would roll in, dampening clothes and spirits, only to recede again, revealing the ruins anew. Each cleared section brought a fresh wave of revelation. What had initially appeared as a few isolated structures began to coalesce into a sprawling, intricate city. As the team painstakingly removed centuries of accumulated growth, the true scale and beauty of Machu Picchu slowly emerged, like a lost painting being restored stroke by careful stroke. They uncovered ceremonial plazas, their open spaces now bathed in the thin mountain light. They revealed residential complexes, their small, perfectly formed rooms hinting at the daily lives of the people who once inhabited this sacred space. Temples dedicated to the sun and moon, their windows aligned with celestial precision, began to shed their leafy shrouds, their sacred geometry speaking of a profound connection to the cosmos. Bingham, often found on his hands and knees, meticulously brushing away dirt from an ancient artifact or tracing the lines of a finely carved stone, felt a constant thrill of discovery. He was no longer just an explorer, he was a detective, piecing together the fragments of a forgotten narrative. He photographed the intricate details of the stonework, the subtle curves and angles that made the structures so resilient to earthquakes, the small, practical features that spoke of the Incas' ingenuity. He documented the agricultural terraces, marveling at the sophisticated engineering that allowed them to cultivate crops on such steep slopes, turning the mountain itself into a fertile garden. The laborious, many of them local Quechua like Melcher, worked with a quiet efficiency, their movements practiced and strong. For them, it was hard work, a means to an end, but there was also a discernible sense of respect in their actions. They handled the ancient stones with care, their hands, accustomed to the earth, understanding the weight of history that each block carried. They knew the mountains, their moods, and their secrets, and their presence lent an authentic, grounded quality to the archaeological endeavor. One particularly memorable afternoon, as a section of dense jungle was finally cleared near what Bingham would later identify as the principal temple, a large, perfectly smooth stone, intricately carved with geometric patterns, was revealed. The sunlight, piercing through a brief break in the clouds, illuminated its surface, highlighting the subtle artistry. Bingham knelt, his fingers tracing the cool, ancient lines, a profound sense of connection washing over him. It was a tangible link to the hands that had shaped this stone, to the minds that had conceived its purpose. He felt the weight of centuries, the passage of time, and the enduring spirit of the people who had built this sanctuary. He thought of the Incas, their empire stretching across the Andes, their advanced understanding of astronomy, agriculture, and architecture. He imagined them here, living their lives, performing their rituals, gazing at the same majestic peaks, breathing the same crisp air. He felt a deep respect for their ingenuity, their resilience in mastering such a formidable environment, and their profound spiritual connection to the natural world around them. This city was not just a collection of buildings, it was a living testament to a civilization that had thrived in harmony with its surroundings, a place where the sacred and the profane were intertwined, where human endeavor reached for the divine. As more of the city emerged from its green embrace, Bingham began to understand its layout, its purpose, its silent story. He saw the clear divisions between ceremonial areas and residential zones, the sophisticated water channels that brought fresh mountain spring water to every part of the city, the strategic placement of watchtowers offering panoramic views of the surrounding valleys. It was a masterpiece of urban planning, a self-sustaining community, a fortress, and a spiritual center, all rolled into one. The atmosphere around them, despite the physical exertion, remained one of quiet wonder. The occasional chatter of the workers, the distant call of a jungle bird, the whisper of the wind through the newly exposed structures, these sounds were woven into a tapestry of discovery. The low-hanging clouds often drifted through the ruins, momentarily shrouding sections in an ethereal mist, only to reveal them again, pristine and ancient, as if the mountain itself was breathing, revealing its secrets in gentle, rhythmic sighs. Bingham, standing on one of the high terraces, looking out over the now partially cleared city, felt a profound sense of responsibility settle upon him. He had not just found a lost city, he had unveiled a sacred space, a place of immense historical and cultural significance. His initial triumph had matured into a deeper understanding of the legacy he was now entrusted with. The world would soon know of this place, and with that knowledge would come both admiration and scrutiny. He knew his methods, his claims, would be debated, but in this moment, surrounded by the silent majesty of Machu Picchu, those future concerns seemed distant, overshadowed by the sheer, overwhelming beauty of what lay before him. He thought of the enduring spirit of the Inca people, their ability to create such lasting beauty in the face of immense challenges. He considered the passage of time, how this city had been forgotten by the outside world, yet had remained steadfast and silent, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. He felt a deep connection to the land, to the mountains, and to the ancient people who had carved their dreams into the very stone of the Andes. The air, cool and thin, carried the scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, a perfume of history and discovery, settling gently over the newly revealed sanctuary. The air, cool and thin, carried the scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, a perfume of history and discovery, settling gently over the newly revealed sanctuary. Bingham stood there, a solitary figure dwarfed by the colossal peaks and the silent grandeur of the ancient city, a profound sense of exhilaration swelling within his chest. He had found it, or rather, it had revealed itself to him, a sacred jewel nestled amongst the clouds, and the weight of that revelation pressed upon him, both a heavy responsibility and an intoxicating triumph. He knew, with an unshakable certainty, that the world needed to know of this place, this breathtaking testament to a civilization that had once touched the sky. The subsequent months and years were a whirlwind of meticulous documentation, painstaking excavation, and relentless advocacy. Bingham returned to the citadel with teams of archaeologists, engineers, and botanists, each visit deepening his understanding and reverence for the site. He oversaw the clearing of centuries of jungle overgrowth, revealing more of the intricate terraces, the perfectly fitted stones of the temples, and the sophisticated water channels that snaked through the city. Each newly unearthed structure, each carefully catalogued artifact, spoke volumes of the Incas' profound connection to their environment, their astronomical knowledge, and their unparalleled architectural prowess. He photographed relentlessly, his camera capturing the ethereal beauty of the ruins bathed in the golden light of dawn or shrouded in the mystical embrace of the Andean mist, images that would soon ignite the imaginations of millions across the globe. Back in the academic halls and lecture theatres of Yale, Bingham's voice, usually measured and scholarly, vibrated with an almost evangelical fervor as he presented his findings. He spoke of the lost city of the Incas, a phrase that, while perhaps not entirely accurate in its historical context, perfectly captured the romantic allure of his discovery. His lectures were punctuated by the stunning lantern slides of Machu Picchu, projecting its silent majesty onto screens, transporting his audiences from their plush seats to the dizzying heights of the Andes. He described the ingenious agricultural terraces, carved into the steep mountainsides like colossal steps reaching towards the heavens, a testament to the Incas' ability to coax sustenance from the most challenging terrain. He detailed the precision of the stonework, where massive blocks were fitted together without mortar, so tightly that a knife blade could not be inserted between them, a feat of engineering that defied modern explanation. He spoke of the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun, a carved stone pillar whose shadow play marked the solstices and equinoxes, linking the earthly realm to the celestial dance. The world listened, captivated. Articles appeared in prestigious journals and popular magazines, illustrated with Bingham's evocative photographs. National Geographic magazine, in particular, played a pivotal role in bringing Machu Picchu to a global audience, its pages filled with vivid descriptions and breathtaking images that transformed the remote Andean site into an object of widespread fascination. The sheer scale of the discovery, the beauty of the architecture, and the mystery surrounding its purpose and abandonment resonated deeply with a public eager for tales of adventure and forgotten civilizations. Bingham, once a relatively obscure academic, found himself propelled into the international spotlight, hailed as the man who had unveiled one of the greatest archaeological treasures of the modern age. Yet, beyond the immediate excitement of discovery, a deeper significance began to emerge. Machu Picchu was not merely an archaeological site, it became a powerful symbol. For the people of Peru, it was a tangible link to their glorious past, a source of immense national pride and a reminder of the enduring spirit of the Inca civilization. It represented the ingenuity, the spiritual depth, and the resilience of their ancestors, a heritage that had survived centuries of colonial suppression and neglect. The city, once hidden, now stood as a beacon, illuminating the profound cultural legacy of the Andean people. For the wider world, Machu Picchu transcended its historical context to become an emblem of human potential, a testament to what humanity could achieve when harmoniously connected with nature. Its very existence in such a remote, breathtaking location spoke of a profound spiritual connection to the earth, the mountains, and the cosmos. Visitors, once they made the arduous journey to its gates, often described feeling an almost palpable energy emanating from the stones, a sense of timelessness that defied explanation. The crisp, thin air, the silent majesty of the peaks, and the ethereal mist that often swirled through the ruins combined to create an atmosphere of sacred wonder, inspiring contemplation and a deep reverence for the ancient builders. As the decades passed, Machu Picchu's fame grew exponentially. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a recognition of its outstanding universal value and the imperative to preserve it for future generations. Millions flocked to its ancient pathways, each person bringing their own hopes and dreams, their own sense of wonder, to the sacred place. They walked the same stone steps as the Inca, gazed upon the same panoramic vistas, and felt the same Andean winds whisper through the temples. The city, once a secret, now welcomed the world, sharing its silent wisdom and its enduring beauty. Bingham, in his later years, often reflected on the profound impact of his discovery. He understood that his role had been that of a condor, a fortunate explorer who had stumbled upon a truth that was always there, patiently waiting to be seen. He had brought the light of modern inquiry to a place steeped in ancient mystery, but he also recognized that Machu Picchu held secrets far older and deeper than any academic theory could fully explain. He had sought a lost city, and in so doing, he had helped to revive a lost legacy, allowing the spirit of the Inca to resonate once more across the Andean peaks and beyond. The legacy of Machu Picchu, reborn in the early 20th century, continued to evolve. It became a global icon, a pilgrimage site for those seeking connection, inspiration, or simply a glimpse into a world where humanity and nature existed in perfect, breathtaking harmony. The initial exhilaration of discovery had matured into a timeless appreciation, a recognition of the city's enduring power to move and inspire. It stood, and still stands, as a silent sentinel in the clouds, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, a spiritual anchor in a rapidly changing world. Each sunrise that painted the peaks with gold, each cloud that drifted through its ancient courtyards, reaffirmed its timeless presence, a whispered story of a civilization that built its dreams into the very fabric of the earth, forever reaching for the stars. The world had awakened to Machu Picchu, and in so doing, had found a profound and enduring connection to its own ancient heart. The world had awakened to Machu Picchu, and in doing so, had found a profound and enduring connection to its own ancient heart. For Hiram Bingham, the initial exhilaration of discovery had slowly, inexorably, transformed into a deeper, more reflective understanding of the citadel's profound significance. He had returned many times, each journey revealing new facets of its silent grandeur, each sunrise over Machu Picchu etching itself more deeply into his soul. His initial scientific curiosity, driven by a desire to categorize and understand, had gradually given way to a quiet reverence, a recognition of something far greater than mere archaeological triumph. He had watched the mists roll in, obscuring the terraces and temples, then recede to reveal them again, pristine and powerful, as if the mountains themselves were breathing around this sacred space. He had seen the way the light played upon the finely cut stones, illuminating the precision of their construction, the subtle curves and angles that spoke of an intimate knowledge of the earth and the heavens. The air, always thin and crisp, carried the scent of damp earth and distant mountain flowers, a fragrance that became synonymous with peace. He often found himself sitting on a low stone wall, gazing out over the Urubamba River snaking far below, a silver ribbon through the Emerald Valley. The distant cry of a condor, a lonely, majestic sound, would echo across the vast expanse, a reminder of the untamed wilderness that cradled this monument to human ingenuity. He thought of Pachacuti, the visionary emperor who had conceived of such a place, and of the countless hands that had shaped its stones, each labor a silent participant in a grand, spiritual endeavor. He imagined the daily rhythms of life here, the quiet ceremonies, the agricultural cycles, the children playing in the courtyards, their laughter carried on the mountain breeze. He saw the Inca, not as a vanished civilization, but as a living spirit, woven into the very fabric of the landscape, their legacy enduring in every perfectly fitted stone, every meticulously carved niche. The initial flurry of activity, the careful excavation, the detailed mapping, had given way to a more contemplative phase. Bingham understood now that Machu Picchu was not merely a collection of ruins to be studied, but a sanctuary, a place where the veil between worlds felt thin, where the past breathed alongside the present. He had witnessed the awe in the eyes of the first visitors who followed his path, the hushed reverence that fell over them as they stepped into the main plaza, their gazes drawn upwards to the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun. He saw how the citadel spoke to them, not in words, but in the profound silence of its stones, in the sheer audacity of its existence, perched between earth and sky. One late afternoon, as the sun began its slow descent, painting the western slopes in hues of fiery orange and deep violet, Bingham stood near the Temple of the Sun. A soft, ethereal mist, typical of the cloud forest, began to drift through the peaks, coiling around the ancient structures, softening their sharp edges. The air grew cooler, carrying with it the damp scent of moss and ancient stone. He watched as the mist enveloped the distant peaks, then slowly, gracefully, began to shroud the ruins themselves, turning the familiar landscape into a ghostly, dreamlike tableau. The world seemed to quieten, the sounds of the wind softening, the distant river's murmur fading into a whisper. He remembered the stories told by the local Quechua people, the inheritors of the Inca spirit, who had always known of the sacred city, guarding its secrets, respecting its power. They spoke of the Apus, the mountain spirits, and of Pachamama, Mother Earth, who had nurtured this place and its people. Bingham, a man of science and exploration, found himself increasingly open to these ancient beliefs, recognizing the profound wisdom embedded within them. He saw how the Inca had not merely built upon the land, but had integrated their structures into it, honoring its contours, aligning with its energies, creating a harmonious dialogue between human creation and natural grandeur. He thought of the young man, Pablito, who had guided him on those initial, arduous journeys through the dense cloud forest, his bare feet navigating treacherous paths with an innate understanding of the terrain. Pablito, with his quiet strength and his deep respect for the mountains, had been a living bridge to the past, a silent guardian of the ancient ways. He wondered where Pablito was now, perhaps tending his fields in a distant valley, his connection to Machu Picchu as enduring and unwavering as the mountains themselves. The spirit of those who had lived and worked here, those who had kept its memory alive through generations, felt palpable in the cool evening air. As the mist thickened, blurring the lines between stone and cloud, Bingham felt a profound sense of peace settle over him. The urgency of discovery, the pressure of documentation, the academic debates, all of it receded, replaced by a deep, quiet understanding. Machu Picchu was not a lost city to be found, but a timeless presence, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity, its capacity for creation, its unwavering connection to the sacred. It was a place that transcended time, a bridge between epochs, a silent witness to the ebb and flow of civilizations. He closed his eyes for a moment, breathing in the cool, damp air, feeling the ancient stones beneath his fingertips. He imagined the Inca priests, standing on these very platforms, their eyes fixed on the constellations, interpreting the celestial dance, guiding their people through the cycles of planting and harvest. He imagined the sound of panpipes drifting across the plazas, the rhythmic chants echoing off the mountain faces, the quiet prayers offered to the sun and the moon. The echoes of a vibrant civilization, though silent to the ear, resonated deeply within the heart, a powerful, unwavering hum. The sun had now dipped entirely below the western ridge, leaving behind a sky painted in soft, fading pastels. The mist had fully embraced the citadel, transforming it into an ethereal island floating in a sea of clouds. Only the very tops of Huayna Picchu and Machu Picchu mountain remained visible, like distant, watchful sentinels. The air grew colder still, and the first stars began to prick through the deepening twilight, tiny pinpricks of light in the vast, darkening canvas above. Bingham rose slowly, his movements unhurried, his mind filled with a quiet reverence. He knew his work here was never truly finished, for Machu Picchu would continue to reveal its secrets, not through excavation alone, but through contemplation, through the quiet act of listening to its ancient voice. He walked slowly, deliberately, through the main plaza, the stones cool and smooth beneath his boots. The silence was profound, broken only by the gentle sigh of the wind through the tall grasses and the distant, almost imperceptible murmur of the Urubamba. He paused at the edge of the terraced fields, looking back at the shrouded city. It was no longer a collection of buildings, but a living entity, breathing with the mountains, dreaming beneath the Andean stars. Its purpose, he realized, was not merely to house people or to store grain, but to connect, to elevate, to inspire. It was a place where the human spirit had reached for the divine, carving its aspirations into the very bedrock of the world. As the last vestiges of daylight faded, and the stars began to blaze with an astonishing clarity in the thin mountain air. Machu Picchu settled into its nightly vigil. The ancient stones, warmed by the day's sun, now radiated a gentle coolness, holding within them the memories of centuries. The cloud forest, a living, breathing guardian, exhaled its cool, damp breath over the citadel, wrapping it in a protective embrace. The city, once hidden, now stood revealed, not just to the world, but to itself, its enduring spirit shining brightly. It was a testament to the power of human hands guided by an unwavering vision, a profound connection to the earth and the cosmos. It was a place where the past was not merely preserved, but vibrantly alive, whispering its timeless stories to those who would listen. The mountains, ancient and immutable, stood sentinel around it, their peaks now dark silhouettes against the star-strewn sky. The wind, a gentle breath across the vast valleys, carried the faint, sweet scent of night-blooming orchids and damp earth. The distant cry of the condor had long since faded, replaced by the soft chirping of unseen insects, a lullaby of the high Andes. Machu Picchu, the eternal guardian, rested beneath the vast, silent expanse of the Andean stars, its dreams woven into the fabric of the earth, its spirit forever reaching for the heavens, a beacon of peace in the quiet heart of the world. The world around it, too, seemed to settle, the air growing still, the sounds of the night softening into a profound and tranquil silence, as if the entire landscape had fallen into a deep and peaceful slumber. The profound silence of the Andean night, a blanket woven from starlight and cool mountain air, settled over the ancient citadel, embracing its stone walls and terrace slopes with an ethereal calm that transcended the mere absence of sound. It was a presence, a deep and resonant peace that seeped into the very bedrock of the world. Within that vast stillness, as the hours drifted by like wisps of cloud across the moon, the spirit of Machu Picchu seemed to breathe, a slow, steady rhythm echoing the pulse of the earth itself, holding within its timeless embrace the memories of countless dawns and dusks, of human hands that had shaped its grandeur, and of the quiet lives that had once animated its sacred spaces. Far below, nestled within the verdant embrace of the cloud forest where the Urubamba River snaked through the valley like a silver ribbon under the nascent moon, a small, flickering fire cast dancing shadows upon the faces of Pachacuti and his trusted Ski, their figures silhouetted against the dense foliage that hummed with the nocturnal symphony of unseen creatures. The air here was thicker, humid with the breath of 1,000 ferns and orchids, carrying the earthy scent of damp soil and decaying leaves, a stark contrast to the crisp, thin air of the mountain heights they had left behind just hours before. Pachacuti, his regal bearing softened by the flickering light, sat cross-legged on a woven mat, a simple clay cup filled with warm coca tea clutched in his hands, his gaze distant, reflecting the profound thoughts that often occupied the mind of an emperor burdened with the welfare of an entire empire. The Ski, whose name was Kuntua, sat opposite him, ever vigilant, his keen eyes occasionally sweeping the surrounding darkness, though his posture remained relaxed, a testament to the deep trust and companionship forged between them over countless journeys and shared hardships. The stars above Machu Picchu, Pachacuti murmured, his voice a low rumble, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them. They seemed closer there, Kuntua, as if one could reach out and pluck them from the sky. Kuntua nodded slowly, his gaze returning to the fire, its flames mirroring the distant stars. Indeed, APU. The air is thinner, the veil between worlds, perhaps more transparent. It is a place where the spirits surely walk more freely. He paused, then added, "The work progresses well, Your Majesty. The terraces hold the soil, the water channels flow true. Soon, the last stones will be set, and the city will be complete, a jewel in the crown of Tawantin-Sooyo." Pachacuti took a slow sip of his tea, the warmth spreading through him, a small comfort against the cool night air. "Complete, yes," he mused, his eyes narrowing slightly as if envisioning the finished masterpiece, "but a city for whom? Contour? A retreat for the chosen, a sanctuary for the wise, a testament to our enduring spirit. But it is also a secret, a place hidden from the eyes of those who might seek to defile its sacred purpose." His voice dropped, imbued with a hint of melancholy. "The world changes, Contour. Empires rise and fall like the seasons. We build for eternity, but eternity, too, has its limits." Contour, ever practical, offered a quiet reassurance. "The mountains themselves are our guardians, APU. The paths are known only to us, the mists our allies. It will remain hidden, a secret held close by the very earth." He shifted slightly, adjusting the sling bag that held his vital supplies, dried maize, coca leaves, a small gourd of chicha, always prepared for the next journey, the next message. "The people speak of your vision, APU, of the city in the clouds. They say it is a place where the sun god Inti himself will rest, a bridge between the earth and the heavens." A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched Pachacuti's lips. "A bridge, yes. A place where the wisdom of our ancestors can be preserved, where the RKLYRs can weave their sacred textiles and tend their sacred gardens, where the priests can read the signs in the stars without interruption. It is a place of peace, Contour, a place where the clamor of the world cannot reach." He gazed into the dancing flames, the firelight painting his strong features in hues of gold and shadow, his mind drifting back to the early days of its conception, the arduous journeys through dense jungle and treacherous mountain passes, the endless planning, the meticulous engineering. He remembered the first time he had stood on that ridge, the clouds swirling below him like an ocean, and known, with an absolute certainty, that this was the chosen place, a sacred nexus of earth and sky. The conversation dwindled into a comfortable silence once more, punctuated only by the crackle of the fire and the distant calls of night birds, the shared understanding between them needing no further words. Pachacuti, the architect of an empire, found a rare moment of respite in the simple companionship of his messenger, a man who, despite his humble station, understood the weight of his emperor's dreams and the quiet anxieties that accompanied such monumental undertakings. As the fire slowly dwindled to embers, painting the surrounding jungle in ever deeper shades of indigo, Pachacuti finally lay back, pulling a thick llama wool blanket over him, the scent of smoke and damp earth a familiar lullaby, and for a few precious hours, the emperor slept, his dreams perhaps filled with the silent, majestic stones of his mountain sanctuary. Meanwhile, in a different time, centuries later, the first rays of dawn were just beginning to paint the eastern sky with hues of rose and gold, piercing through the lingering mists that clung to the peaks above the Urubamba River, as Hiram Bingham III, accompanied by his local guide, Melchor Artiega, and a small contingent of porters, began their arduous ascent. The path, barely more than a goat track, was steep and treacherous, winding its way through a dense tangle of vegetation that seemed determined to reclaim the very earth beneath their feet, its leaves still heavy with the night's dew. The air was cool and damp, carrying the rich, earthy fragrance of the cloud forest, a scent that was both invigorating and subtly intoxicating, a wild symphony of life that buzzed and rustled and chirped from every direction. Bingham, despite the growing fatigue in his legs and the incessant buzzing of unseen insects, felt an almost feverish excitement coursing through his veins, an anticipation that had been building for days, ever since Arteaga had first spoken of old ruins high above their current encampment. He wiped a bead of sweat from his brow, his spectacles fogging slightly in the humid air, and pushed another low-hanging branch out of his way, his tweed jacket already damp from the effort and the pervasive moisture. He was a man driven by intellectual curiosity, by the thrill of discovery, and by a romanticized vision of uncovering lost civilizations, a vision that had drawn him halfway across the world to these remote Andean valleys. "Are you certain, Melcher?" Bingham asked, his voice slightly breathless from the climb, turning to glance at Arteaga, who, despite his advanced years, navigated the difficult terrain with the effortless grace of a mountain goat, his worn sandals gripping the muddy path with surprising tenacity. "These ruins you speak of, are they truly significant? Or merely a few scattered stones, as we have found so many times before?" Melcher Arteaga, his weathered face impassive, merely grunted, his eyes fixed on the upward path. "Machu Picchu," he replied, his voice raspy, the Quechua words rolling off his tongue with a deep resonance. "It is old. Very old. And high. The farmers, they know it. It is where they grow their maize, where their ancestors lived." He gestured vaguely upwards with his chin, a silent promise of what lay ahead. For Arteaga, it was simply a place, a part of his world, a site of ancestral memory and practical agriculture, not a lost city waiting for academic validation. His motivation was simple, a small payment from the curious foreigner, and perhaps a break from the monotony of his solitary life. The ascent continued, the sun now fully risen, its golden light filtering through the dense canopy, dappling the forest floor in shifting patterns of light and shadow, illuminating the vibrant greens of moss-covered trees and the startling blues and purples of exotic flowers. Bingham found himself increasingly captivated by the sheer wildness of the landscape, the way the jungle seemed to defy gravity, clinging to the impossibly steep slopes, its roots entwining with ancient rocks, its branches reaching skyward as if in a perpetual prayer. He imagined the immense effort it must have taken for the Inca to carve a civilization out of such unforgiving terrain, to tame this wild beauty, to build their cities amidst the clouds. After what felt like an eternity of climbing, the air suddenly grew cooler, the vegetation began to thin, and a faint, almost imperceptible shift in the light suggested an opening in the dense forest. Bingham, pushing through a final thicket of bamboo, stumbled forward, his breath catching in his throat, his eyes widening behind his spectacles. Before him, emerging from the mist like a phantom city, lay a sight that defied all his expectations, a vision of stone and sky that seemed to float above the world. Terraces, perfectly sculpted and impossibly green, rose in graceful curves up the mountainside, their edges sharp and precise, defying the centuries of neglect and the relentless embrace of the jungle. Stone walls, meticulously fitted without mortar, formed the foundations of buildings, their doorways and windows gazing out across a panorama of breathtaking grandeur, a vast, emerald valley carved by the winding Urubamba, framed by towering, mist-shrouded peaks that seemed to touch the very heavens. The air, crisp and clean, carried the scent of damp earth and ancient stone, a profound stillness broken only by the distant cry of a hawk circling high above. "My God," Bingham whispered, the words barely audible, a profound sense of awe washing over him, eclipsing all fatigue and discomfort. He stood utterly transfixed, his gaze sweeping across the magnificent expanse, trying to reconcile the sheer scale and beauty of what he saw with the vague descriptions he had heard. This was no mere collection of scattered ruins. This was a city, a sacred citadel, an architectural marvel hidden from the world for centuries, its secrets guarded by the very mountains themselves. The sun, now fully asserting its dominance, began to burn away the last vestiges of mist, revealing more and more of the intricate details, the perfectly aligned stones, the graceful curves of the agricultural terraces, the silent, majestic presence of Machu Picchu rising dramatically behind the main complex, its peak piercing the azure sky. Melchor Arteaga, observing the American's stunned reaction, merely offered a small, knowing smile, a silent acknowledgement of the power of the place. For him, it was a familiar sight, a part of his heritage, but he understood the profound impact it had on this outsider, this man from a distant land who sought to understand the mysteries of his ancestors. He gestured towards a small hut nestled among the terraces, where two Quechua farmers, descendants of those who had perhaps once tended these very fields, emerged cautiously, their faces etched with curiosity and a touch of apprehension. They were the true guardians of this place, their quiet lives interwoven with its ancient stones, their knowledge passed down through generations. Bingham, still reeling from the initial shock of discovery, felt an almost overwhelming urge to explore, to touch the stones, to walk the ancient paths, to uncover the stories held within these silent walls. He knew, with an absolute certainty, that this moment would forever change the course of his life, and perhaps, the understanding of an entire civilization. He had stumbled upon something extraordinary, something that transcended mere archaeological interest. He had found a lost city, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Inca, a place that resonated with a power and a beauty that was almost spiritual. The ancient stones, bathed in the morning light, seemed to hum with a silent energy, a profound connection to the earth and the sky, a legacy waiting to be rediscovered by a world that had forgotten its existence. High above the clouds, where the air was thin and the stars seemed to blaze with an intensity unknown in the lower valleys, Mama Oclo, the esteemed Akla, walked the sacred paths of Machu Picchu, her steps light and deliberate, her spirit attuned to the subtle energies of the mountain. The citadel, now fully complete, stood in silent majesty around her, its stone structures glowing faintly under the soft, ethereal light of the moon, which had ascended to its zenith, casting long, dancing shadows across the Intihuatana, the sacred hitching post of the sun. The air was cool, carrying the faint, sweet scent of night-blooming orchids from the terraced gardens, mingled with the clean, crisp aroma of mountain stone. Mama Oclo, her face serene and ageless, her dark hair braided with threads of gold and vibrant alpaca wool, was a woman of profound wisdom and spiritual insight, chosen from a young age to serve Inti, the sun god, and to oversee the spiritual life of the Aclahuasi, the house of the chosen women. Her days were spent in prayer, in weaving sacred textiles, in tending the ceremonial fires, and in interpreting the signs from the heavens, her connection to the cosmos as profound as her connection to the earth beneath her feet. Tonight, however, her thoughts were not solely on the present rituals but on the future, a future that stretched far beyond her own lifetime, beyond the reign of Pachacuti, into an unknown expanse of time. She paused at the edge of the main plaza, her gaze sweeping across the silent city, its carefully placed stones reflecting the moonlight like polished obsidian. The silence here was not empty but full, brimming with the echoes of prayers, the murmur of ancient voices, the quiet rhythm of lives lived in harmony with the sacred landscape. She could almost feel the presence of the ancestors, their spirits woven into the very fabric of the mountain, their wisdom imprinted upon the stones. A gentle breeze, a whisper from the distant glacier, stirred the fringes of her finely woven cloak, carrying with it the faint, sweet scent of the high Andean flora. Her internal reflection was a tapestry woven with threads of memory and prophecy. She remembered the arduous journey to this sacred site, the initial awe at the raw, untamed beauty of the place, and the immense dedication of the workers, their hands shaping the stone with a reverence that transformed labor into devotion. She recalled Pachacuti's vision, his unwavering belief in the spiritual significance of this remote location, his desire to create a sanctuary that would endure through the ages, a repository of Inca knowledge and wisdom, hidden from the eyes of those who might seek to corrupt or destroy it. "The mountain holds our secrets," she murmured softly, her voice a mere whisper carried by the wind, "but will the world remember them?" She walked towards the Intihuatana, its carved stone shadow stretching long and dark across the plaza. This sacred stone, aligned with the solstices and equinoxes, was a cosmic calendar, a tangible link between the earth and the celestial dance of the sun, moon, and stars. She placed her hand gently upon its cool, smooth surface, feeling the silent thrum of its ancient power, a conduit to the divine. She closed her eyes, allowing her senses to expand, to reach beyond the physical realm, to touch the currents of time that flowed both forward and backward. She saw flashes, not clear visions, but shimmering impressions of a distant future, a time when the great empire would crumble, when new peoples with strange tongues and even stranger gods would arrive, bringing with them both destruction and a different kind of discovery. She saw the city, her beloved Machu Picchu, swallowed by the relentless embrace of the jungle, its stones hidden, its purpose forgotten by the world, known only to the silent guardians of the cloud forest, the descendants of those who had built it. A pang of sorrow, a deep, ancient ache, passed through her, but it was quickly followed by a wave of profound peace. For even in that vision of loss and forgetting, she also saw a glimmer of hope, a moment when the veil would be lifted, when the world would once again turn its gaze to these sacred peaks, when the stones would speak again, their silent stories finally heard. She saw the curiosity of future generations, the awe in their eyes, the reverence for the ingenuity and spirit of her people. The city, though hidden, would not be lost forever, it would merely sleep, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Mama Oklo opened her eyes, her gaze sweeping across the silent citadel, now bathed in the soft, silvery glow of the descending moon. The stars, countless diamonds scattered across the velvet expanse of the Andean sky, seemed to wink knowingly, ancient witnesses to the unfolding drama of human history. She understood, with a clarity that transcended mere intellect, that the true legacy of Machu Picchu was not just its physical grandeur, but its enduring spirit, its message of harmony with nature, its testament to human resilience and ingenuity. It was a beacon, a silent promise that even when forgotten, true beauty and profound wisdom would eventually resurface, like a seed lying dormant in the earth, waiting for the opportune moment to sprout and bloom anew. She continued her solitary walk, her steps echoing softly on the ancient stones, passing by the Temple of the Sun, its curved walls a perfect embrace for the rising sun, then through the intricate residential areas, their silent doorways inviting contemplation. The air grew cooler as the moon began its slow descent, and a thin mist, like a celestial breath, began to curl around the distant peaks, hinting at the approaching dawn. Mama Oklo felt a deep sense of peace settle over her, a quiet acceptance of the cycles of time, of the ebb and flow of empires and knowledge. Machu Picchu, her sacred home, would endure, a silent guardian of the Inca spirit, its dreams woven into the fabric of the earth, its spirit forever reaching for the heavens, a beacon of peace in the quiet heart of the world, waiting patiently for its moment to be rediscovered. Centuries later, the morning sun, a brilliant orb of fire, was slowly burning away the last vestiges of mist that clung to the peaks surrounding Machu Picchu, revealing the ancient citadel in all its breathtaking glory. Hiram Bingham, having spent the night in a rough camp among the terraces, awoke with a start, the vividness of his dreams filled with ancient priests and silent rituals, still lingering in his mind. The air was crisp and cool, carrying the fresh scent of dew-kissed stone and damp earth, and the distant call of an unseen bird echoed through the vast silence of the mountains. He rose from his makeshift bed, a thin blanket spread over a patch of relatively flat ground, and walked to the edge of the agricultural terraces, his gaze sweeping across the magnificent panorama that unfolded before him. The sheer scale of the achievement, the meticulous craftsmanship of the stone, the ingenious engineering of the water channels and terraces, it was all profoundly humbling. He ran his hand over the smooth, cool surface of a perfectly fitted stone, feeling the undeniable presence of the hands that had shaped it, the minds that had conceived it, the spirits that had imbued it with purpose. Melchor Arteaga, already awake and tending a small fire, was preparing a simple breakfast of boiled maize and coca tea, his movements economical and practiced. He watched Bingham with a quiet amusement, accustomed to the awestruck reactions of the few outsiders he had guided to this remote place. For Arteaga, this was home, a place of ancestral memory and practical living. For Bingham, it was a profound mystery, a lost world waiting to be deciphered. "It is truly a marvel, Melchor," Bingham said, turning to his guide, his voice filled with a reverence that transcended his usual academic detachment. "The precision, the artistry, it speaks of a civilization far more advanced than our initial history suggested. This is not merely a fortress, is it? It feels sacred." Arteaga nodded slowly, stirring the maize with a wooden stick. "It is sacred, Senor. Always has been. The APU, the mountain spirits, they live here. Our ancestors, they built it for Inti, for Pachamama. It is a place of power." He spoke in a mixture of Quechua and broken Spanish, his words carrying the weight of generations of oral tradition. He pointed towards the Intihuatana, its shadow now sharply defined by the rising sun. "That stone, it holds the sun. It tells us when to plant, when to harvest." Bingham walked towards the Intihuatana, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. He had read about these hitching posts of the sun in ancient chronicles, but to see one perfectly preserved in this remote, forgotten city was an experience that bordered on the spiritual. He observed its precise angles, its alignment with the cardinal directions, its subtle curves that seemed to capture and hold the very essence of the sun's journey across the sky. He imagined the ancient priests, their faces upturned to the heavens, performing their sacred rituals, their lives intimately connected to the rhythms of the cosmos. He spent the entire day exploring, his camera clicking almost incessantly, documenting every wall, every terrace, every doorway. He moved through the residential areas, imagining the lives that had once unfolded within these silent stone rooms, the Atlas weaving their textiles, the priests conducting their ceremonies, the children playing in the plazas. He climbed to the summit of Machu Picchu, the smaller, iconic peak that rose dramatically behind the main citadel, its steep, narrow path a testament to the Incas' daring engineering. From that vantage point, the entire city spread out below him like a meticulously crafted model, a breathtaking testament to human ingenuity and a profound connection to the natural world. The vastness of the landscape, the sheer audacity of building such a city in such an inaccessible location, filled him with an overwhelming sense of wonder. He realized that this was not merely an archaeological site, it was a living monument, a place where the past and present converged, where the spirits of the ancient Inca still lingered, whispering their stories on the wind. The clouds, like silent sentinels, drifted lazily across the sky, occasionally obscuring the distant peaks, then parting to reveal the breathtaking expanse of the Andes, an endless ocean of green and gray. As the sun began its slow descent, painting the western sky in fiery hues of orange and purple, Bingham found himself back in the main plaza, sitting on a low stone wall, his notebook open but his pen still. The sheer weight of his discovery, the implications it held for the understanding of Inca civilization, was almost overwhelming. He knew that his report would shake the academic world, that this lost city would capture the imagination of millions, but he also felt a profound sense of responsibility, a quiet understanding that he was merely a temporary custodian of a legacy that belonged to the ages, to the people whose ancestors had built it. He looked at Melchor Arteaga, who was now quietly packing their meager belongings, his face serene, his eyes reflecting the deep wisdom of a man intimately connected to his land. Arteaga had lived with this secret, this marvel, his entire life, without the need for academic validation or historical recognition. For him, it was simply Machu Picchu, a place of power, a home for his ancestors, a silent testament to the enduring spirit of his people. Bingham realized that his role was not just to reveal this city to the world, but to honor its spirit, to understand its profound connection to the earth and the heavens, to respect the quiet dignity of its enduring legacy. The air grew cooler, the stars began to emerge, one by one, in the deepening twilight, and the distant cry of a condor, a majestic silhouette against the fading light, echoed across the vast valleys, a timeless sound that had witnessed both the rise and fall of empires, and now, the rediscovery of a lost world. Machu Picchu, the eternal guardian, rested beneath the vast, silent expanse of the Andean stars, its dreams woven into the fabric of the earth, its spirit forever reaching for the heavens, a beacon of peace in the quiet heart of the world. The world around it, too, seemed to settle, the air growing still, the sounds of the night softening into a profound and tranquil silence, as if the entire landscape had fallen into a deep and peaceful slumber, holding its breath for the dawn of a new understanding. The world around Machu Picchu had indeed settled into a profound and tranquil silence, a hush that seemed to emanate from the very stones of the ancient city, as if the entire landscape had fallen into a deep and peaceful slumber, holding its breath for the dawn of a new understanding, a new chapter in its long and storied existence. High above, the Southern Cross glittered with an almost impossible brilliance, a celestial compass that had guided generations of Inca, and now silently observed the small, flickering campfires of Hiram Bingham's expedition, tiny beacons of human presence in the vast, untamed wilderness. Down in the valley, nestled beside the roaring Urubamba River, Melchor Arteaga, the local farmer and guide, sat by a small fire, its flames casting dancing shadows on the rough-hewn walls of his simple dwelling, his gaze fixed on the distant, dark silhouette of the mountains where the lost city lay hidden. He had lived his entire life in the shadow of those peaks, knowing of the ciudadelas, the small cities that dotted the high slopes, places his ancestors had built and then, for reasons lost to time, abandoned, or perhaps simply left to the care of the Apus, the mountain spirits. His heart, though filled with a quiet pride in the ancient stones he had shown the gringo professor, also carried a faint tremor of apprehension, a feeling that something profound and irreversible had been set in motion, a veil lifted that might never again be drawn. He remembered the stories his grandmother used to tell, tales of powerful spirits guarding the sacred places, of the delicate balance between the human world and the world of the Pachamama, the Earth Mother, a balance that could be easily disturbed by too much curiosity, too much intrusion. The air, cool and crisp with the mountain night, carried the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms, a fragrance that was both comforting and subtly wild, a reminder of the untamed beauty that still reigned supreme in these remote valleys. Meanwhile, back in the 15th century, during the zenith of the Inca Empire, Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, the Sapa Inca, stood on a newly carved terrace overlooking the burgeoning city he had envisioned, a city that would one day be known as Machu Picchu, its walls gleaming faintly under the nascent light of the moon. The air was cool and thin at this altitude, carrying the murmur of distant waterfalls and the rhythmic clang of stone on stone, as his skilled Runa, his people, continued their tireless work even under the soft glow of the night, shaping the mountain into a sanctuary. He felt the immense weight of his destiny, the responsibility of guiding his people, the Tawantinsuyo, the four quarters of the world, towards an era of unprecedented prosperity and spiritual enlightenment, a vision that had been born in his heart and was now slowly, meticulously, taking form in the very fabric of the Andes. Beside him, Mama Oklo, her face serene and wise, her eyes reflecting the starlight, placed a gentle hand on his arm, her touch a grounding presence amidst the grand scale of his ambitions. "The Apus are pleased, my Sapa Inca," she murmured, her voice soft as the rustling of leaves in a gentle breeze. "They watch over this sacred place, this Yakta, and bless your efforts with their enduring strength." She gestured towards the intricate network of terraces cascading down the mountainside, each one a testament to human ingenuity and a profound respect for the land, designed not only for cultivation but also to stabilize the steep slopes, an architectural marvel that seamlessly blended with the natural contours of the earth. The scent of burning kior, an Andean herb used for purification, drifted from a nearby ceremonial fire, mingling with the crisp mountain air, creating an atmosphere of deep reverence and spiritual connection. Pachacuti turned to her, his gaze sweeping across the magnificent panorama of peaks and valleys, a landscape that had once been wild and untamed, now being sculpted by his will into a harmonious extension of the divine. "This place, Mama Oklo," he began, his voice resonating with a quiet power, "will be a bridge between the heavens and the earth, a place where our ancestors can commune with the stars, and where our descendants will forever remember the wisdom of the sun." He envisioned not merely a fortress or a royal estate, but a sacred academy, a retreat for the Ahklas, the chosen women, and a place of profound astronomical observation, where the movements of the celestial bodies could be meticulously tracked, their patterns understood, and their messages interpreted for the benefit of the entire empire. The sheer scale of the undertaking, the monumental effort involved in shaping such a remote and challenging terrain, filled him with a sense of awe, even as he was its primary architect. A young Chasqui, his chest still heaving from the arduous climb, approached them, his colorful tunic a vibrant splash against the muted tones of the stone, carrying a message from the distant capital of Cuzco. He knelt respectfully, his eyes downcast, awaiting the Sapa Inca's command, a living link in the vast communication network that bound the empire together, his very presence a testament to the efficiency and reach of Inca governance. The Chasqui represented the lifeblood of the empire, carrying news, decrees, and goods across thousands of miles of treacherous terrain, their speed and endurance legendary, their dedication unwavering. Pachacuti, with a nod, accepted the quipu from the messenger, its intricate knots and colored strings holding a wealth of information, a language understood only by the initiated. He ran his fingers over the chords, his brow furrowing slightly as he deciphered the coded message, a silent dialogue between the past and the present, between the distant capital and this remote mountain sanctuary. The moonlight illuminated the delicate artistry of the quipu, each knot a word, each string a sentence, a complex system of record-keeping that baffled many outsiders but was perfectly clear to the Inca elite. "Word from the southern provinces," Pachacuti announced, his voice calm but firm. "There are whispers of unrest, of tribes resisting the integration into our empire, their hearts not yet open to the wisdom of the sun." He understood that the expansion of the Tawantinsuyu was not without its challenges, that the assimilation of diverse cultures required both strength and diplomacy, a delicate balance of power and persuasion. The vastness of his empire, stretching across mountains, deserts, and coastal plains, was a constant source of both pride and concern, demanding perpetual vigilance and strategic foresight. Mama Oklo, ever the voice of spiritual counsel, responded, "The path of empire is long and winding, my Sapa Inca, and not all hearts embrace the light at once. Patience, and the unwavering example of our devotion to the Pachamama and the Inti will eventually guide them." She believed deeply in the spiritual power of their endeavors, in the idea that their benevolent rule, rooted in cosmic order, would ultimately prevail over any resistance, that the sheer majesty of their achievements, like this sacred city rising from the clouds, would inspire awe and loyalty. The cool night air seemed to carry her words, echoing them across the silent valleys, imbuing them with a timeless wisdom. Pachacuti nodded, his gaze returning to the stars, those eternal witnesses to human striving and human folly. "We must continue to build, Mama Oklo," he declared, his voice imbued with a renewed sense of purpose, "to create a legacy that will endure beyond our lifetimes, a testament to what humanity can achieve when guided by purpose and reverence. He knew that the true strength of his empire lay not just in its military might or its administrative efficiency, but in its spiritual foundation, in the profound connection his people felt to the land, the sky, and the unseen forces that governed their world. The rhythmic sounds of construction, even at this late hour, were a soothing balm, a symphony of progress and dedication. The Chazki, having delivered his message, silently withdrew, melting back into the shadows, his journey far from over, for he would carry the Sapa Inca's directives back to Cusco with the same tireless dedication. His path would take him through treacherous mountain passes, across rope bridges swaying precariously over deep gorges, and through dense cloud forests where mists clung to ancient trees like spectral guardians, a testament to the incredible endurance and navigational skills of these remarkable messengers. He would run for days, fueled by coca leaves and the urgency of his mission, a vital artery in the vast circulatory system of the Inca state. Hours later, as the first faint blush of dawn began to paint the eastern sky with hues of rose and gold, Pachacuti and Mama Oclo still stood on the terrace, watching the world awaken, the mist-shrouded valleys slowly revealing their emerald depths. The air grew colder just before the sun's arrival, a crisp, invigorating chill that sharpened the senses and brought a profound clarity to the mind. The distant roar of the Urubamba River, which had been a constant hum throughout the night, now seemed to gain a new vibrancy, a powerful symphony accompanying the birth of a new day. A lone condor, its massive wings catching the nascent light, soared majestically above the peaks, a silent sentinel, its shadow briefly sweeping across the nascent city, a powerful symbol of the Andean spirit, of freedom and transcendence. Pachacuti watched it ascend, feeling a deep connection to the magnificent bird, an animal revered by his people as a messenger of the Apus, a creature that bridged the gap between the earthly and the divine. The condor's flight was a blessing, a confirmation that their efforts were aligned with the cosmic order, that the spirits of the mountains approved of their grand undertaking. "The condor watches over us," Mama Oclo whispered, her voice filled with quiet reverence, a reminder that our spirits, too, can soar beyond the earthly realm, reaching for the infinite wisdom of the heavens. Her words resonated with the profound spiritual beliefs of the Inca, a worldview where every element of nature held sacred meaning, where the mountains, rivers, and animals were not merely resources but living entities imbued with divine power. The rising sun, now a fiery orb cresting the distant peaks, cast long, dramatic shadows across the terraces, illuminating the intricate stonework with a warm, golden glow, transforming the city into a truly ethereal spectacle. Centuries later, in the early 20th century, Hiram Bingham III, standing amidst the rediscovered ruins of Machu Picchu, felt a similar sense of awe, though his understanding of the place was still nascent, clouded by the prevailing academic theories of his time. The morning mist, having lifted to reveal a breathtaking vista, clung in wisps to the deep gorges below, creating an illusion of the city floating among the clouds, a truly magical sight that transcended mere architectural achievement. He had spent days meticulously documenting the site, his camera clicking, his notebooks filling with observations, his mind buzzing with theories about its purpose and its builders. He walked along the main ceremonial plaza, his boots crunching softly on the ancient grass, his gaze drawn to the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun, a finely carved stone pillar whose precise angles and orientation suggested a profound astronomical function. He ran his hand over its smooth, cool surface, feeling the weight of centuries of human endeavor, the silent testimony of a civilization that had mastered both engineering and celestial observation. The air, crisp and clean, carried the scent of wild orchids and damp earth, a fragrance that spoke of untamed beauty and ancient secrets. "It's more than just a fortress, Arteaga," Bingham mused aloud, turning to Melchior Arteaga, who stood patiently nearby, his weathered face a stoic mask, his eyes reflecting a deeper, more intuitive understanding of the place. The precision of these stones, the alignment with the solstices, it speaks of a people deeply connected to the cosmos, not just to warfare. Bingham, despite his academic background, was slowly beginning to shed some of his preconceived notions, allowing the sheer power and mystery of the site to reshape his understanding. The intricate dry stone masonry, where massive blocks fit together without mortar with astonishing precision, was a constant source of wonder, a puzzle that defied easy explanation. Arteaga, who had already known of the site for years, merely nodded, his gaze sweeping across the terraces, his familiarity with the landscape allowing him to see beyond the mere stones, to perceive the spirit of the place. "My ancestors knew the stars, Professor," he said, his voice low and resonant. "They built these places to speak with the Inti, the sun, and the Mama Killer, the moon." His words, simple yet profound, carried the weight of generations of oral tradition, a knowledge passed down through stories and ceremonies, a wisdom deeply embedded in the Andean worldview. He understood that the mountains themselves were sacred, living beings, and that Machu Picchu was a place of communion, a bridge between worlds. Bingham, though intrigued, still struggled to reconcile Arteaga's spiritual explanations with his own scientific framework. He was a man of empirical evidence, of measurable facts, yet the undeniable spiritual aura of Machu Picchu was slowly, subtly, beginning to penetrate his rational defenses. He looked at the perfectly sculpted stones, the way they seemed to grow organically from the mountain itself, and felt a profound sense of humility, a recognition that some mysteries might transcend purely scientific explanation. The sunlight, now fully illuminating the site, cast a warm, golden glow on the ancient stones, making them seem to pulse with a hidden energy. Later that afternoon, Bingham found himself sitting alone on a high terrace, overlooking the vast, emerald expanse of the Urubamba River Valley, the clouds drifting lazily below him like a silent, ethereal ocean. He pulled out his journal, its pages filled with hasty notes and sketches, and began to write, attempting to capture the overwhelming emotions that surged through him. He wrote of the unbelievable grandeur of the setting, of the astonishing artistry of the Inca masons, and of the profound mystery that still enveloped the entire site. The sheer scale of the landscape, the dramatic drop of the cliffs, and the towering peaks that surrounded them, made him feel both insignificant and profoundly connected to something ancient and immense. He reflected on the arduous journey that had led him here, the weeks of battling dense jungle, treacherous rivers, and debilitating illnesses, all fueled by the tantalizing whispers of a lost city. He remembered the skeptical faces of his colleagues back in the United States, the dismissive comments about another wild goose chase in the Andes. But now, standing amidst these magnificent ruins, he knew, with an unshakable certainty, that every hardship had been worth it, that he had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary, a discovery that would rewrite history. The distant cry of a hawk, circling high above, broke the silence, a wild, untamed sound that echoed the raw beauty of the wilderness. Bingham closed his eyes for a moment, letting the cool mountain breeze wash over his face, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin. He imagined the bustling life that once filled these plazas and terraces, the vibrant colors of Inca tunics, the rhythmic sounds of music and ceremony, the laughter of children, the quiet reverence of priests. He tried to picture Pachacuti, the Sapa Inca, standing on these very stones, envisioning this city, shaping it with his will and the labor of his people. The thought sent a shiver down his spine, a profound connection across the centuries, a recognition of the enduring human spirit that had created such beauty in such a remote and challenging environment. He opened his eyes, his gaze falling upon a small, perfectly carved stone that lay half buried in the grass, its surface worn smooth by time and weather. He picked it up, feeling its weight, its coolness, and wondered about the hands that had shaped it, the purpose it had served. Was it a building block, a tool, a ritual offering? The stone offered no answers, only a silent testament to the countless lives that had touched this sacred ground. He placed it gently back down, feeling a renewed sense of responsibility, a quiet promise to honor the legacy of this lost civilization, to tell their story to the world. Meanwhile, in the 15th century, the construction of Machu Picchu continued with an unwavering pace, each stone meticulously placed, each terrace carefully sculpted, each building precisely aligned with the celestial movements. The air was filled with the rhythmic sounds of hammers striking chisels, the grunts of men hauling massive stones with ropes and levers, the soft murmur of chants and prayers offered to the Apus for strength and guidance. The entire site was a hive of activity, a testament to the collective will and organizational prowess of the Inca Empire, a monumental undertaking that rivaled the pyramids of Egypt in its ambition and scale. Pachacuti, ever vigilant, oversaw every detail, his keen eye missing nothing, his vision guiding the hands of his master architects and engineers. He walked among his people, offering words of encouragement, sharing in their labor, his presence a constant source of inspiration and motivation. He understood that the success of this grand project depended not only on his leadership but on the dedication and skill of every single runa, every craftsman, every laborer who contributed their strength and artistry to the creation of this sacred city. The scent of wood smoke from cooking fires mingled with the dust of stone, creating a unique aroma that was both earthy and invigorating. One evening, as the sun dipped below the western peaks, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple, Pachacuti summoned his chief architect, a man named Wamon, whose hands were as skilled in shaping stone as his mind was in understanding the complex geometries of the cosmos. Wamon, a man of quiet demeanor but immense talent, stood before his Sapa Inca, his eyes reflecting the deep respect he held for his ruler. Wamon, Pachacuti began, his voice calm but authoritative. The Intihuatana must be perfect, its alignment with the solstices and equinoxes precise to the smallest fraction, for it is through this stone that we will commune most directly with Inti, our Divine Father. He emphasized the spiritual significance of the stone, not merely as an astronomical observatory but as a sacred conduit, a point of connection between the earthly realm and the celestial. The Intihuatana was to be the heart of Machu Picchu, its spiritual compass, guiding the city's purpose and its people's devotion. Waman bowed deeply, his voice steady. It is being carved with the utmost care. My Sapa Inca, my finest masons work upon it day and night, guided by the wisdom of the Harmotar, the wise ones, who have studied the stars for generations. He explained the intricate calculations involved, the precise angles and orientations required to capture the sun's shadow at the exact moments of the solstices and equinoxes, a feat of engineering and astronomical knowledge that was truly remarkable. The stone, a living calendar, would mark the passage of time, dictating the agricultural cycles and the ceremonial calendar of the Inca. Pachacuti nodded, satisfied. Good. And the water channels, are they complete, bringing the pure mountain spring water to every part of the city, sustaining life and cleansing our spirits? He stressed the importance of water, a sacred element in Inca cosmology, not just for practical needs but for ritual purification and spiritual renewal. The intricate system of aqueducts and fountains, drawing water from a distant spring and channeling it through the city, was another marvel of Inca engineering, a testament to their ability to harness nature's resources. The channels are flowing, my Sapa Inca, Waman confirmed. The water sings as it passes through the stone, cleansing the terraces and filling the ceremonial baths, a gift from the Pachamama herself. He described how the water was routed through a series of fountains and baths, each one beautifully carved, serving both practical and ceremonial purposes, ensuring that the entire city was infused with the life-giving essence of the mountains. The gentle sound of flowing water, a constant presence in Machu Picchu, was a soothing melody, a symbol of purity and abundance. Pachacuti smiled, a rare expression of contentment on his usually stern face. This city, Waman, will be a jewel in the crown of the Tawantinsuyu, a place of peace and wisdom, a sanctuary for our people, a beacon for all who seek enlightenment. He envisioned Machu Picchu as a place where the spiritual and the practical intertwined seamlessly, where the pursuit of knowledge and the reverence for nature were one and the same, a perfect embodiment of Inca ideals. The setting sun cast long, dramatic shadows across the nascent city, making its rising walls appear even more imposing and majestic. As the last rays of sunlight faded, and the first stars began to prick the darkening sky, Pachacuti looked out over the valley, a profound sense of accomplishment filling his heart. He knew that the empire he was building, the civilization he was shaping, would face challenges, that the future was uncertain, but he also knew that places like Machu Picchu, imbued with such spiritual power and built with such enduring strength, would stand as eternal testaments to the greatness of his people. The air grew cool, carrying the scent of night-blooming flowers and damp earth, a fragrance that spoke of the wild, untamed beauty that still surrounded their magnificent creation. Back in the early 20th century, as the expedition prepared for another day of exploration, Hiram Bingham found himself drawn to the sheer walls of the agricultural terraces, marveling at their sophisticated engineering. He noticed the slight inward curve of the walls, a subtle but ingenious design feature that provided stability against earthquakes and prevented erosion, a testament to the Incas' deep understanding of their environment. The morning light, still soft and ethereal, highlighted the intricate patterns of the stonework, each stone a puzzle piece in a grand, harmonious design. Melchor Arteaga, observing Bingham's fascination, approached him, a small, knowing smile playing on his lips. "My grandfather used to say, Professor, that the Inca built with the mountain, not against it, they listened to the Pachamama and asked her where to place each stone. His words, though seemingly simple, encapsulated a profound ecological wisdom, a philosophy of living in harmony with nature that was deeply ingrained in the Andean culture. He understood that the Inca didn't just build structures, they integrated their creations into the very landscape, respecting its contours and its spirit. Bingham, though still a man of science, felt a growing appreciation for this indigenous perspective. They certainly understood the land better than any engineers I know, he conceded, running his hand over a perfectly fitted stone, its surface cool and smooth. The way these terraces prevent landslides, the way they create microclimates for different crops, it's truly remarkable. He was beginning to see the Inca not just as a vanished civilization, but as master innovators, their solutions to environmental challenges often surpassing those of modern engineering. The air was filled with the chirping of unseen birds and the gentle rustling of leaves, creating a peaceful, natural symphony. He paused, then looked at Artiega, a question forming in his mind. Artiega, you've lived here your whole life, your family for generations. What do the local people truly believe about this place? Is it a sacred city, a fortress, a royal retreat? He sought to understand the deeper, cultural significance of Machu Picchu, beyond its archaeological value, recognizing that the local inhabitants held a living connection to its past. He wanted to hear the stories, the legends, the oral traditions that had preserved its memory through centuries of neglect. Artiega's gaze drifted to the distant peaks, his eyes filled with a quiet reverence. It is all of those things, Professor, and more. It is a place where the veil between worlds is thin, where our ancestors still walk, where the Apus listen to our prayers. He spoke of the mountain spirits, the powerful deities that resided in the towering peaks, and of the profound spiritual connection that the Inca felt to their land, a bond that transcended mere physical presence. He explained that Machu Picchu was a place of spiritual power, a conduit for divine energy, a sanctuary for the soul. He continued, his voice soft but firm, "For us, it is Yaktar, a sacred city, a place of refuge and of learning, built by the great Pachacuti himself, a place to honor the sun and the earth." He recounted the stories passed down through his family, tales of the Sapa Inca's vision, of the incredible effort involved in its construction, and of its eventual abandonment, a mystery that still lingered in the collective memory of his people. His words painted a vivid picture of a living history, a narrative that had been preserved not in books, but in the hearts and minds of generations. Bingham listened intently, a new layer of understanding settling over him. He realized that his discovery was, in fact, a rediscovery for the Western world, but for the local people, Machu Picchu had never truly been lost. It had simply been awaiting the right moment to reveal itself again, to share its secrets with a wider audience. He felt a profound sense of responsibility, a recognition that he was not just an explorer, but a custodian of a sacred legacy, a bridge between two worlds, the ancient and the modern. The sun, now higher in the sky, cast long, dramatic shadows across the terraces, making the ancient stone seem to pulse with a hidden energy. The expedition spent the next few days meticulously clearing away the dense jungle growth that still clung to parts of the city, revealing more of its intricate architecture and hidden pathways. Bingham and his team, with the help of Artiega and other local guides, uncovered ceremonial baths, residential quarters, and storage buildings, each new revelation adding another piece to the grand puzzle of Machu Picchu. The air was filled with the sounds of machetes clearing brush, the excited shouts of discovery, and the constant hum of insects, a symphony of human endeavor and natural life. One afternoon, while exploring a secluded corner of the site, Bingham stumbled upon a small, exquisitely carved stone fountain, its basin still holding clear, cool water, fed by an unseen spring. He knelt, cupped his hands, and drank, the water tasting pure and refreshing, a direct link to the ancient inhabitants who had once quenched their thirst from the very same source. He felt a profound sense of connection, a moment of timeless communion with the past, a recognition of the enduring power of this sacred place. The gentle gurgle of the water was a soothing melody, a timeless sound that had echoed through these stones for centuries. He looked up, his gaze sweeping across the magnificent panorama of peaks and valleys, the Urubamba River winding like a silver ribbon far below, and felt a deep sense of peace, a quiet reverence for the ingenuity and spirit of the Inca. The clouds, now high above, drifted lazily across the azure sky, casting fleeting shadows on the ancient stones, as if the heavens themselves were watching over this rediscovered marvel. The air, crisp and clean, carried the scent of wild herbs and damp earth, a fragrance that spoke of the untamed beauty that still reigned supreme in these remote valleys. As the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky with fiery hues of orange and purple, Bingham returned to his camp, his mind still buzzing with the day's discoveries, his heart filled with a quiet sense of wonder. He knew that his work here was far from over, that Machu Picchu held many more secrets yet to be revealed, but he also knew that he had been privileged to witness something truly extraordinary, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. The distant cry of a condor, a majestic silhouette against the fading light, echoed across the vast valleys, a timeless sound that had witnessed both the rise and fall of empires, and now, the rediscovery of a lost world. Machu Picchu, the eternal guardian, rested beneath the vast, silent expanse of the Andean stars, its dreams woven into the fabric of the earth, its spirit forever reaching for the heavens, a beacon of peace in the quiet heart of the world, its silent story continuing to unfold with each passing moment, each breath of the mountain wind. And so the story rests here, for now. Thank you for spending this time with Easy Drift Sleep. If these stories help you find rest, a quick subscribe means a new one is always waiting for you. Sleep well. We will see you next time.